popping the boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That's Stephen Jensen, and shout out to Big Dick MLJ as always for the intro. It is Thursday, December 21st, the final show before Christmas. Stephen Jensen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I hope everyone watching is doing great today as well. Happy holidays to everyone. I know all my Jewish friends just celebrated Hanukkah, and then we got Christmas coming up. We got Kwanzaa, and we got everything coming up. And even if you aren't religious, which, to be fair, I'm not very religious myself, but I do get together with my family for the holidays and celebrate. Whether you're religious or you're not, I just hope that you just have some good days here to round the year up. So whether you're by yourself or you're with your family, I just hope everyone has a good last, couple weeks here of 2023. And my big message to everybody: be kind to customer service workers and retail workers over the holidays. I am one of y'all. I have been one of y'all very many of these holiday seasons. I know. So just be nice to people who have to work during this time as well. Everyone who hears this. So yes, happy holidays. Happy holidays, Jeremy. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Happy holidays as well. Yes, be kind to customer service, retail, fast food as well. Like anybody in the restaurant industry, basically anybody that's got to work on the holidays. Nobody wants to work during this time of year.
I put the tweet up last year. I think it was last year or the year before. It's definitely like during the pandemic. You remind me. I went to Wendy's one of these days because I was bored and I was lonely on the holidays and I needed some food. And I went to Wendy's and I got up to the drive-through line and there was a strong smell of marijuana in the air. And I was like, where's this coming from? Oh, it's coming from inside the Wendy's. So I rolled up and they made me some of the best food I've ever had at Wendy's that day. So I really appreciate the workers over the holidays, whether you're working fast food, retail, whatever it is. Do what you got to do. Get through the holidays. I appreciate y'all. So I love this time of year. Like, I'm glad I don't have to work as much this time of year, but like I'll have to work a lot next week. This week is chill for me. Next week's going to be tough. And also, just so everyone knows who's been following along for like my job interviews and my promotion and stuff like that, I won't know until next week if I got the promotion or not. I did have my second interview, but what I also found out is there's actually 3 positions opening for this role within the next 60 days. So if I don't get it this time, I should be in the running for the next couple. So should be on the up and up there too, but I'll keep everyone updated there. Anything else going on with you, Jeremy?
I think so. We wish you continued luck in your job promotion fight.
Thank you.
Fight, but your job promotion, I don't know if it's a search, just endeavors, I guess, maybe the right word there.
Sure.
So
I'm trying to finish my story,
Yes, got to finish your story. Someone's got to.
Yeah.
Guys, leave a thumbs up on the video. That really helps us out. Leave us a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. That really helps us out as well. In about 2 hours or so, we will air our interview with WCW legend, the greatest of all time. Somebody call his mama Ernest The Cat Miller. Yes, Ernest The Cat Miller joined us. He'll be in the creator spotlight. That interview airs at about 10:30ish, we'll say. So get ready for that interview with Ernest The Cat Miller. That was a very fun time with Ernest The Cat Miller.
Yeah, we were planning it. We had spoken to him about doing like 20 to 30 minutes, and we went for like an hour and 20. So prepare for that one. That is a fantastic interview. And full disclosure, it's one that started a little bit slow. Like I started asking some questions, and I was like, I don't know if the cat likes us or not. And then he wound up loving us and talked to us for a long time. So I think you guys are really like a lot of the stuff he had to say. He talks about everything from his time in WCW to his time in WWF to what he thinks about current day wrestling and stuff like that. So I mean, I think y'all are gonna enjoy it.
You wanted to beat us up at one point.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
I live close enough that we can make this happen, though. Too, we talk about that. I'm I'm going to one of my New Year's resolutions is I got to get some karate training from the Cat here in Atlanta. So I'll probably do that like sometime in January. I'll go to start taking some classes from them, and we'll maybe follow that journey a little bit as well. That'd be kind of a funny series to try to be learning karate from the Cat. Man, little like 8-year-old me is like, are you serious right now? Like, you're talking to the Cat? That's so funny to me. Love these guys.
All right, guys, let's get into our news. I'm trying to battle through this cold. I don't know what's going on. I have a bad cough today. I cannot afford to get sick during the holidays.
I got you. Yeah, you got what you got to do. I can talk as long as we need to today.
Just cannot afford to get sick. All right, let's get into our topics of the day, everybody.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
AJ Styles is back to, I guess, finish his story. He finished his workouts, that's for sure. Man, was looking jacked, looking real good, brother. He returned on Friday Night SmackDown to save Randy Orton and LA Knight from the bloodline and then attack LA Knight. And now he seems to be targeting maybe LA Knight, maybe Roman Reigns in the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Jensen, what did you make of AJ Styles' return on SmackDown?
So this is very, and I know a lot of people made the comparison to like when AJ was doing his final run in TNA, like before he left. This was kind of what that vibe was, like the all black, the whose side is he on? They kind of, excuse me, they kind of like when he, for people who don't know, around the time that AJ left TNA, his gimmick was similar to that of Sting, like against the NWO, kind of, because it was like the aces and eights were kind of like the NWOs. So, but this was like kind of what we got out of Styles, like this kind of heelish, like, why is he doing the things that he's doing? Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Ultimately, he wound up leaving the company, and it was like kind of all confusing how it all ultimately kind of went down. But then he parlayed that into what he did in his New Japan run, which was like legendary, and then that got him into, you know, where he is with WWE, of course. That all said, I'm interested in this. AJ, super jacked. Same with Randy Orton. Like those guys, when they made their returns, I was like, they've been doing some work, or something. Those guys are killing it. I was very impressed with the physique of AJ Styles. I'm also interested, so like Endeavor owns the whole thing now, and I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm just curious because like this is a total sidebar because that has to do with MMA, but like I probably don't want to go down that rabbit hole actually.
Where were you going with this?
Well, so I don't want to. Well, the reason, so like with Endeavor and like MMA, like with like they don't use USADA anymore is kind of the rabbit hole I was about to go down, and I don't know if I want to. Like those guys were huge. Randy Orton and AJ Styles came back huge. But regardless, I don't really care. It's professional wrestling.
Here's the thing. Look, I when you're off all of that time, AJ wasn't out with an injury or anything.
Right, just working out the entire time probably.
Yeah, he was just sidelined and working out and wasn't on the road, so it wasn't eating all the stuff you're going to eat on the road, stopping at McDonald's at 2 a.m. in the morning and things like that. So he had time to get himself in really good shape. Kind of the same thing with Orton. It's not surprised. This is how usually on these returns, these guys come back looking in much better shape because you're working out. Sometimes you're rehabbing an injury and you're not on the road. So you're able to control your diet a little bit better.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. That's very fair. And this is one of the things where, like, just for the record, I don't care one way or another in professional wrestling what people, it's all aesthetic to me, regardless. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, you need to be good in the ring and take care of your opponents and stuff like that. Like, that's what's actually important. But regardless, it was one of those things where I saw AJ and I was like, damn, this is the best AJ's like ever looked. And he's like, I don't even know how old he is at this point, in his 40s.
Yeah, he's got to be like 45 or something. AJ Styles is 46. There you go.
But regardless, dude, I love when and here's honestly an argument for this stuff, right? For anything that's new technology, like just even good supplements you can get at GNC with a bunch of good vitamins in there for you. Like there is a strong argument to be made throughout all of sports of like some of these guys' careers would have like a guy like AJ Styles. It was pretty unheard of years back for guys like AJ Styles, guys like Chris Jericho, a guy like Sting to be able to do the stuff they're doing at the current age that they're at. And a lot of it is like all the new technology we have, and like in some sports they kind of try to like prevent you from using that, which I think is kind of interesting, because I think it's really cool that we can see a guy like AJ Styles at 45 years old in the best shape of his life. That's actually incredible. It's actually really motivating for me to know that at 45 I could potentially still be in really, really damn good shape. Like that's, I love seeing that. Same with Randy Orton. Like, with all the injuries and all the years that guy's put on his body, for him to come back looking like he's looking, that's incredible to see. So I'm very happy for both these guys. And I'm a huge AJ Styles fan. Like, so I want to see AJ just have the best run he possibly can until he's done. And I hope he's not done anytime soon, So him attacking LA Knight, I like that, obviously. I think I think it's a good story you can tell there. They'll have a good match. AJ is over. LA Knight's over. It's going to all be good. I mean, and then AJ wanting to target the Universal title, like that's great too, because whether it's the Universal title or the title over on Raw, AJ Styles should be, challenging or wanting to challenge for the world championships. He's AJ Styles. Like people still kind of forget. And I'm so in and out with the WWE because I'm always, I watch all the PLEs, but I'm not as tapped in like weekly to Raw and SmackDown and stuff anymore. But like, whenever I tune into the PLEs, when AJ's on there, I'm always like, nothing's really changed about AJ Styles. Like he's still the same dude. He's still legit phenomenal. One of the best guys out there. And he just kind of gets lost in the mix occasionally, but this kind of like puts him in a really, really good spot, it looks like, with his return. So hopefully he comes back and he wins this. I guess it doesn't look like it's going to be a feud with LA Knight first. Well, a Rumble maybe, or I
don't want to give too many spoilers.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Because they've already taped SmackDown for this week. So they're gonna, I guess it's not that big of a spoiler. Like I'm just telling you what the match is going to be a couple weeks from now. So, all right, if you don't want to hear the spoiler for a match announcement, then, plug your ears right now. We'll go with that. So they're going to set up a triple threat match for next week's SmackDown with AJ, Randy Orton, LA Knight, and the winner faces Roman at the Rumble.
Okay. I like that. I mean, regardless, Roman's going to get to WrestleMania with the title, but they just got to do some stuff that makes some of his challengers interesting. And at least he's going to defend the title sometime soon. That's like a rarity. So that's good.
Yeah. So that's what they're setting up. So I don't know who's going to win that. I think it will be Orton. I think Orton and Roman is going to be the Rumble match. I don't know for certain, but that feels like I think you want to go ahead and get Orton and Roman done. Just in case.
I agree. And honestly, eventually, and they can do this because # the brand split isn't real, for those of you who don't know. AJ really should be challenging for the title Seth has, I feel like. Like with some of the guys, like AJ versus Seth for that title would be sick. If AJ versus Punk for that title would be sick with their history. Like AJ needs to be over on Raw. Like he needs to do like whatever he's gonna do with LA Knight and maybe a couple other people. But I'd say like after WrestleMania, or maybe even well, for WrestleMania, I'm assuming we're gonna get Punk versus Seth Rollins for the title. But I feel like just for what it's worth, foreshadowing future sight here. I think that AJ will eventually be in the mix with like those guys on Raw for that title, because he has a shot at actually winning that one. Like nobody but Cody really or The Rock. I think there's only two who have like a real shot at beating Roman right now, probably.
LA Knight.
Roman's gonna retain at WrestleMania, by the way. Like they're gonna have him go past Hulk Hogan now because now that people are starting to like buzz about that, like it's not gonna happen again, dude. This is so bad. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now talking about Cody, but like I'm getting worried about it right now. Like I don't know. You just got to beat Shinsuke. We'll move on, but I don't know.
I feel like he'll beat Shinsuke. I mean, they're setting him up to beat Shinsuke. Like,
and I do like this stuff. A lot of people.
I still think Shinsuke should have won, and then Cody can still win the Rumble and whatever. But I think Shinsuke should have win the feud. Do
you still think that CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble and challenges Rollins, and Cody wins Elimination Chamber? Is that still where we're thinking with those guys?
That's a possibility. I was sold more on it after the Rollins and Punk promo from the other week. I still think the winner of the Rumble should challenge Roman, no matter who that is. But at least there was a like, all right, you sold me on Punk winning and challenging Seth. I think, well, I mean, we kind of blend this into my other WWE topic real quickly on AJ. I like that he attacked LA Knight because LA Knight was the guy who basically took his spot when AJ got attacked by the Bloodline. So he has reason to go after the Bloodline because Bloodline was the guys who took him out. Solo took him out of the match, the big backstage angle. And then LA Knight jumped in there and took his spot in the match with Cena, the tag team match with Cena. So he's like, well, I don't like this guy either. He's now kind of getting the opportunities that I was supposed to get. I was supposed to be the one to challenge Roman Reigns for the title. But LA Knight jumped in here and took my spot when I got injured. So I like that because he didn't go after Orton. Orton didn't do anything to him in that case. So yeah, I did like that. And then when it comes to Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, which is my spotlight for the week, we'll kind of blend stuff in together here. I like that I think that Drew will win on day one. I think he'll win the title from Seth. Okay. I think Seth could get it back at Rumble, but I think Drew is going to win the title.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Why do you feel so strongly about that?
I just think that you can't make Drew a failure again. Like,
yeah,
you just can't.
Fair. Yeah, unless he's like leaving the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Because they keep talking about his story of like, hey, he was the pandemic champion, never won in front of fans, failed at Mania in front of half audience against Lashley, failed against Seth in Saudi, failed against Roman in the UK. Like, he just continually being a failure. And I don't know if you can fail again against Seth on Raw. I think you can win, do a short title reign. He can hold it. He can lose it lose it at Rumble, lose it at Australia Elimination Chamber. He can lose it then, but I don't think he can. I just wouldn't have him fail again. A short title reign's fine. People have become so clouded on these long title reigns of like, no, every title reign has to be 6 months or more. It's like, no, you can do a 1 month title reign if it makes sense. And I think for Drew, it would make sense because the story for Drew is just having that moment, winning it in front of fans. He doesn't need to hold it for 5 years. He just needs that moment in front of fans.
That's true. Yeah, that's a really strong case, I think. I mean, I'm a big McIntyre fan. I'd be fine with it. So you would have. I mean, you're right though. Like, because the only other thing you can do if he loses again is like he's already kind of at the point where like he's already gone crazy because of this. You can, unless he's actually leaving the company. I guess that's a possibility. Like if they just like keep having him lose on his way out, I guess. But
I don't think that. I mean, he might be. I don't know what the negotiations are, but it's apparently not up till Mania anyway. So you can afford to just do a quick title reign with it.
Yeah,
give them that moment.
I like the idea. Like, I do think that they need to make like Drew can't keep losing like that. I agree 1,000% about that. Like, he's too valuable. He's too good. And like, you don't want to lose him. And also, like you said, I've said it 1,000 times, and you just recapped it, but it really is a bummer for him. Like the whole when he beat Brock Lesnar for that championship at WrestleMania, that should have been like 10 times bigger than like it wound up being, because there just wasn't anyone there. And as a whole title run, like he was out there busting his ass, having matches in front of no people for like over a year. I mean, and I can't even imagine the difference. You know, if we get the opportunity to talk to any wrestlers going forward that wrestled during the Thunderdome, they call it Thunderdome, right?
Yeah.
During that era, like there had to have been such a massive difference in like adrenaline, like not doing that in front of thousands, tens of thousands of people versus doing that in front of screens without all that energy. Like, and it probably hurts so much more doing so. Like I whenever someone would have like a ladder match or something in front of no fans, I would feel so bad for them, because I'm like, you don't even have like the pops to like feed off of. Like you're just hitting this stuff, and it just gotta just hurt more. You just hear it, you just louder. And my point with all that is Drew McIntyre was out there having the best matches he could in front of nobody, and working super, super, super hard. Like I really appreciated what he was, the effort he was putting out as a champion. And by the time the fans were back, the title was over to Bobby Lashley, and they just like moved on. And it's like, so I can legitimately understand and sympathize to the position that Drew McIntyre is in right now, because you take that and then you add in everything else you just mentioned about all the title opportunities where he's lost, he's challenged and not won the championship. This is you got me convinced, Jeremy. Drew McIntyre's got to win. It's at day one Raw, so like not this week, but the next Raw, right? That's when they're gonna do that.
Yeah, this week is a best of, because it's literally on Christmas Day. So yeah, it's gonna be a best of. Yeah, I think he's gonna win. I think they're gonna do just a quick title reign. If not, I don't know where you go with Drew McIntyre, unless he's just off television until, hey, I'm off TV, and then we'll come back until a contract is signed, essentially. Like I'm off TV until, hey, we're just gonna sign a contract. Because like if he loses here, you can't give him any more title shots. He's losing all of these title matches.
Both titles.
What's that?
He's sorry, yeah, we're talking both world titles now. Like, I mean, there's not even like another world championship for him to go after at this point. He can't even change shows.
Yeah. So I don't think that you can give him another title shot. He's lost to Gunther a bunch already. Is he gonna go with the US title? Like, I don't know. It feels like he just would be off television, or just doesn't really have a direction until something happens. So yeah, I think he's gonna win. I think it's gonna be a quick reign, but I think he's gonna win on there.
Where's Sheamus? Does he maybe play a factor in this?
Sheamus, I don't know. Like he's off television as well. And there might be a contract with him. I don't want to misspeak on that. What did
I'm trying to think of something. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just looking for anything on Sheamus. Okay, here. This was from September from Sean, September 20th from Fightful Select. Sheamus's contract is set to expire in 2024. I don't think there was believed to be the first quarter or first half of 2024. So there you go. But that part isn't confirmed. So it's just at least sometime in 2024 for Sheamus's contract.
The reason I bring him up is I'm just trying to think of anything maybe a little outside the box for like how Drew could maybe pull this off, like as a heel. I was thinking maybe like him and Sheamus, like maybe Sheamus helps him, or maybe if he loses, him and Sheamus can team again. I don't know what the status of, like what's Pete Dunne doing right now? Is he still like, are they still a thing with Sheamus not being on TV? Have they kept the Brawling Brutes thing going, or no? I haven't.
They've been teaming on SmackDown, but then the last time we kind of saw them, Ridge Holland was upset with losing, and he just kind of walked out on Butch. And then Ridge Holland was on NXT injuring Ilya Dragunov this past week.
I have not seen that, but I just saw on Twitter, or X rather, that everybody would like seem really upset about however that went down. I don't know if you want to talk about that or like what happened. It was just like they made Dragunov's injury look like it was distasteful or something.
They made it look very legit. Like the distaste part comes in the fact that, you know, Ridge legitimately hurt Big E.
Big E, right.
And so people are like, oh, why are you going to do this with him here to do this to Dragunov and make it a legit? And Ridge is like, you know, on camera asking like, why is it always me type of thing? And Elton Prince, like he kind of legit hurt Elton Prince as well. That one, I mean, they're both accidents at the end of the day. He's not intentionally trying to hurt these guys. But yeah, that's where people were turned off by the angle of like, why is Ridge, and Dragunov sold it really well. He did the corpsing and like the fingers, like, you know, like kind of looking like, yeah. So it looked good. But people were, you know, not exactly thrilled that why are we doing this angle?
Yeah, that seems like a terrible idea, actually, because I didn't realize that he had also hurt Elton Prince. There's, excuse me, sometimes it's good to blur the line, right, of like reality and storyline in wrestling, but that's not what I would do. I wouldn't. It's almost kind of along the line in some kind of weird way. It just reminds me of this, like for the Minnesota Vikings this year, Justin Jefferson. He's been out. He was out for like most of the season with I believe it was his hamstring. It was definitely his leg. I believe it was his hamstring, mainly. And what was ironic about that was he does a celebration in the end zone all the time called the Gritty. You know, he's made it very popular. But he'll also do this thing where he'll grab his leg like he fakes getting hurt. It's like a TikTok meme or something. And he used to do that all the time where he'd pretend to be hurt in the end zone and grab his leg. So then when he actually got hurt, it was like, is he crying wolf or like, is he actually hurt? And it turned out he was actually hurt, out for most of the season. That kind of reminds me of that a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, this dude actually took out Big E. And listen, by the way, I want to back this up a little bit. This isn't me trying to roast Ridge Holland. Like I'm sure he feels absolutely terrible about what happened with Big E. It's not completely his fault, any of this stuff. Like there are two people in the ring, like things can go wrong. Even the thing with like D'Lo Brown, like in draws, like that was just a freak accident, and both guys involved will admit, like, we don't know what happened with that. It was a pretty standard move, and it just, you know, just things happen. So I want to make it really, really, really clear that like I'm not like mad at Ridge Holland when I say this. I just want to say, like, if you have a history of that happening with, you know, the thing with Big E, where Big E may never come back, we still don't know. And then Elton Prince, I didn't realize that was him who had injured him. To make that a storyline where he injures another wrestler just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. So.
Yeah, it's not the best. My take on it was, is it necessary? And I don't think it is a necessary angle to do with your NXT champion who has already a good story going on with what they're doing with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. I don't know why you need to do a big stretcher job injury angle with almost an adjacent player in Ridge Holland. Like he's not factored in to this angle. You know, maybe they'll do something with it. They'll make it mean something. This is how Trick's going to win the title maybe in a couple of weeks at New Year's Evil. I don't know. I'll let it play out, but for right now, it just doesn't seem like a very necessary thing to do.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a bummer. Also, I just remembered, I don't know why I just thought of this. We're talking about guys being jacked when they return. CM Punk was pretty jacked too when he returned. All these guys, when they come back to WWE, it's like, you guys are huge. You guys are huge. Anyway, sorry, I just want to throw that out there too.
Got time. They got time to get in shape, man.
Superstars, dude. Listen, it is what it is. They do have time. Even listen, Cody, same thing with Cody. I'll be fair. Cody, huge. Like he's bigger than he's ever been. Killing it. These guys are world class.
Cody's talked about this because he's when asked about MJF, and possibly coming to WWE, Cody has said, like, at the end of the day, it's still a body business. Like, you still want to look good on television. Yes, times have changed. Yes, like there's a lot more stock in wrestling than there used to be, back in the 80s, early 90s and everything. But like, it's a television business. You want to look good on television. And when he's talked about MJF, he's like, I think MJF knows that because he's going out there, he's working out, getting in shape and everything. Because when you're, especially in WWE, when you realize just how much bigger these guys are than you think. And Cody's mentioned like Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre is a big dude. And I realized that when he was standing next to Roman Reigns. You think Roman Reigns is a big dude, and Drew McIntyre like dwarfs him. And it's just like, boy, yeah, Drew's a big dude. When you're standing across from him, like, you got to look your best.
When Drew's a literal example of doing the same thing. When he left WWE the first time,
yeah,
and then when he came back, he looked like two different human beings. And he's kept that up this whole time. I mean, Drew's still, he's an animal. So I just want to throw that out there too. I'm not like singling any specific people out. There's just like a trend of like, haven't seen this guy in a while. They're back in the WWE. Oh my God. Like Jinder Mahal. Remember when he came back? It was like, what have you been doing, dude?
That's why I got the big push.
yeah. That's it. You want to get the world championship. Exactly. Yeah. So same with Drew. I mean, hopefully Cody, let's go. So, but yeah, these superstars, athletes, whatever you want to call them, are on just a different level in that WWE system. So good for them.
I hit a couple super chats. Appreciate y'all leaving some super chats, by the way. You can keep doing that. Any question, comment, statement you leave in a super chat is read on the air. Andy says, backing it with zero, saying Cody's losing to Roman. I would not trust the guy who literally has zero news. Wilchism.
That was a good one. Go ahead.
Will Chisholm says, I think the Thunderdome was okay in theory, but they had to deal with no fans and Vince booking it, so it must have made it hard for them. A lot of wrestlers have talked about the Thunderdome and just how a lot of it hurt more because there wasn't an adrenaline during that time. Like, it's very tough to get up when there's no crowd to kind of lift you in those moments. And so things just hurt a little bit more. People have talked about it in positive ways of like it helped bring them together. AEW is really talks about. AEW at least had the people around the ring to kind of, and it was an open air thing, so they could start bringing fans in a little bit sooner than the WWE could. So AEW talks about how that was really like important for their growth. A lot of WWE fans or a lot of WWE wrestlers, when it comes to Thunderdome, it was like, yeah, we just had to do television. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, longest running episodic nonsense, we had to do it. So
people might forget already because it's my timeline is so screwed up over the last few years because of the pandemic. Like 2020 through 2022 is all like 1 year to me in my mind. So like I blur a lot of stuff. So like, but people kind of forget, I feel like, because we're already about to be in 2024. AEW was like brand new when the pandemic started. So like a lot of it's actually incredible that they survived that. Like being a brand new company, having to do live shows like that, and even just drawing people in to want to watch wrestling. I mean, granted, there wasn't a lot of options, so I'm sure that kind of did help them as well. Similar to kind of like the UFC, like they were like the only sport that was like, screw this, we're just gonna go to an island and just do it there. Like we're just not gonna stop. So like it's one of those things where like it's AEW deserves more credit than they probably get for like how successful they were throughout that time, and like even to be in the spot that they're in, because AEW gets a lot of I think it's unfair, a lot of the criticism they get about being like the number 2 company to WWE and stuff. Like they're so super successul at what they're like, where they're at right now in comparison to any other company that's like ever attempted this outside of like maybe WCW. That like it really, they're just kind of, everyone needs to keep that kind of in perspective. They've only been around for 5 years, and the first few of them were in a pandemic with no fans while they're trying to build their brand. They had to deal with that.
Yeah. AEW, again, they've talked about it before of just how it really helped them grow together. Maybe they became a family during that time, and it could have easily just been like, all right, this company is dead during the pandemic. Like the ratings could have fell off a cliff. There's so much that could have gone wrong during that, and once they survived that, it's like, oh yeah, they're gonna be fine. And now they might have to survive this merger between Warner Brothers and Paramount, because I don't know what's gonna happen with that if that ends up going through. I don't know. You're not heard about this, Jensen?
Is this all the like Raw or all the WWE going to WBD rumor stuff that you're talking about?
I mean, there's some of that, but there is like Warner Brothers and Paramount, Paramount Plus and Warner Brothers Discovery there's talks of a potential merger between those two companies. So I don't know what that's going to mean for AEW.
Okay. I just watched the new South Park special on Paramount Plus yesterday. Actually, I watched it twice. It was really, really funny.
I got to watch that. I saw they made fun of Logan Paul.
Yeah. It's instead of Prime, all the kids are drinking Cred, like CRED Cred. And they mix it in with like on influencers and so I like I said, I've actually watched it twice already. No cap. I've watched it twice, as the kids would say. So yeah. Anyway, Paramount Plus. Every now and then you get something good on there. So I'm subscribed. So
Chi-Town Spurs saying Zero saying Cody's losing to Roman again virtually makes it a lock. Cody's winning.
Hey, I like that. I like hearing that. What's up, Chi-Town? What's up, everyone in the chat? I'm seeing a lot of regulars in here today. We really appreciate y'all.
Mr. Burt Wayne says, "What's up, Jeremy? It's Rob from Gorilla Press. It was a pleasure meeting you and Sean at WrestleCade. I'll see you at the con." Hey, good meeting you, man. Trying to think. I don't know if I'll be at WrestleCon this year. I don't know if I'm going to Mania. I haven't fully figured that out yet. Most likely not, but I'll definitely be at WrestleCade next year. I always try to make the WrestleCade trip, but it was good seeing you, man. Good. And he also left us a super chat saying, realistically, AEW had at most 1,500. Yeah, it wasn't like a lot during the pandemic, but they certainly like brought them in a little bit sooner, than WWE could. WWE wasn't running shows until the Money in the Bank show, I think, was the first one, or the SmackDown before Money in the Bank. But yeah, AEW could at least bring people in and seat them safely in various sections, and just have an audience there at Daly's place. It wasn't a lot. I don't even think it was 1,500. Like,
no, I doubt it was even that much. Yeah.
I
think about some of the people that were in the crowd for AEW during that, like where they're at now. Some aren't in the company, but some are like the Guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty crazy, pretty cool.
Yeah, Ricky Starks was just a crowd member during that time. And Will Chisholm says, "I know it's wrestling thing, but I feel the same way how wrestlings do that. I mean, I hate it when Brian fake shaking. I don't like that either. Yeah, sure. I don't like when Brian does the like convulsing type of thing. I don't like that as well. So yeah, to me, it always comes down to, is it necessary? Does it add to the story? And like Brian kind of shaking, I get why I did it against Okada, because he needed to let the referee know, like, my arm is fractured, broken. Right. So like, I need to get your attention to let you know this, and like, okay, let me do this to maybe add to the match. Like, in hindsight, I understood that one a little bit more. The Tiger Driver is a big topic with Ospreay and Omega. Like, I thought that added to the match personally. I understand if you feel differently. And then with this Ilya and Ridge Holland, for right now, I don't feel like it's necessary, and it adds into the story. So, we'll see if that changes.
Yeah. Oh, there was something I was gonna mention. I lost because now I'm reading the chats also. Me and SP3 will talk about South Park on Overbooked at some point in the near future for you guys. It's good to see SP3 here in the chat this morning. What I was gonna mention is for like the fake injuries, didn't AEW, like, they've like banned that, right? Didn't they like outright come out and say, like, we're not doing any more stories that involve like pretending to do seizures and stuff like that? No more buckle bombs. Like, it kind of like they kind of put the kibosh on that.
Yeah, it's got to get like approved to sort of do that kind of thing. We'll see what they do moving forward with that, but they've had these guidelines that have been there, and then of course you just got Brian, who's just gonna do what he feels. out there, and no one's gonna really tell them differently.
True.
Mr.
Brian
Burt Wayne,
Danielson's the man.
Rob also says they were letting in 1,000 fans, and it went up to like 15. Yeah, they were letting in few, and then it started going up. So, man, anything else WWE that you want to hit?
Trying to think if there was anyone else. No other returns or anything that I could think of. I guess Charlotte's injury. That sucks. I love Charlotte, but she got paid apparently, so good for her. Yeah, the queen. We can agree on that. We can both agree that Charlotte's incredible. But good for her. Like if she actually got paid like one of the biggest contracts I've ever given out, she deserves it. Like they're smart to lock her down like forever and just keep giving her championships and let her keep being one of the top people in the company. No joke. She's one of, if not the best all-around women's wrestlers probably they've ever had. Like if you want to look at like the in-ring talent, the marketability, the championship runs, like always being in the mix. And I get obviously the booking, like she's getting a lot of help as far as like they constantly have her in positions to succeed. They have her as the champion or challenger for the title almost always, but that is the gimmick. Like she's like, that's what it is. She's the daughter of Ric Flair. She's trying to rack up championships. She's eventually going to surpass his number. And that's the whole thing for her. But like, it works in my opinion, really, really well. I understand that there's people that are kind of over it and like, they want to see other people, but WWE is doing a good job of that. I still think, because you still have like Io Sky thriving. You have Bianca Belair thriving. You still got Becky way up there. You have Damage Control and stuff. Like there's still plenty of women doing really well in the Rhea Ripley, of course. So like, just because Charlotte's always in a good spot doesn't mean
that's because Charlotte's been off TV a lot of this year to allow them to.
But you can't tell me that just her being there takes away from all of what I just said. Not all of them are suffering when she's around. Maybe a couple of them aren't in the same spot.
Becky and Rhea were on Raw, so they're not on the same brand as Charlotte. So I toss them out. Like Bianca was doing well. All these women did well because Charlotte was missing a lot of time. I like Charlotte, like even unironically. Like I think it's kind of hilarious. More than anything, that she's always in the title picture. I do think that like I get your point of that's the gimmick, but like the gimmick kind of gets old and kind of sucks. When she's always in the title picture and always going after the title, and there's just nothing else for her to do. It's like, Charlotte's back. Here comes this title reign. Like, all right.
I love how much it triggers the fans though, because like she'll just walk right in and become the champion immediately. Like she's gone right now. I guarantee y'all, the next time you see Charlotte, she'll be the champion. The next time you see her on television, she'll be the champion.
Probably. Like that's what mainly I like about it is like people do get so upset about it, and I don't care enough to get upset about it.
Right.
Like, sure, put the titles on her, have her always be the champion. I don't care, and none of this affects me personally. So like, whatever they want to do, I'm gonna find the good and the humor in it. That's where but like I also think that it isn't great that she's always in this title picture and that no one else really gets over during this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I disagree. I think they have a really, really strong. I mean, I know you're not saying the opposite. They have a super strong women's roster, and I get that it all comes down to booking ultimately, like who they're going to push and who they're going to use as champions and stuff. But like, I don't know. I would feel differently if I didn't just rattle off like that list I just did of all the women that are like doing awesome in the company still. And I get you're saying like when Charlotte's there, they're not doing as well when but it's like that's like not using Roman Reigns when he's around. Like, you know what I mean? Like Charlotte's she's just got that position. It is what it is.
Rob says her name is what works. I don't see her being top 5 all around. I don't think so either. And again,
for women,
I like Charlotte.
You wouldn't put her in the top 5 women of all time in the WWE. Really?
He said all around, not all time, like all around. Like she's not a better worker than like Becky, Rhea, Asuka.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd still put her pretty high up there. but like, listen, like if you want to get technical, especially, I don't know if we're talking just WWE or like but I mean, if we're talking like all time, every company like that, she wouldn't be in the top 5.
Yeah, he's saying top 5 talent include Asuka, Io, Kyrie, to be transparent.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not.
I understand.
better
I
than
understand.
them.
I understand that argument. That I can get on board with. But if you want to look at like overall career, like accomplishments and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
because it'd be the same kind of thing as like John Cena. Like no one would put John Cena in a top 5 all around. But like if you want to look at best WWE superstar of all time, like it's probably John Cena.
But that I agree. And look, I'm an unabashed John Cena fan, but that's just how they're positioned by the company. Anybody could be in that position if they put them in that, like if they book them that strong.
Looks like SB3 is defending Charlotte a little bit here. See, this is what Charlotte does. It gets people talking. It gets, and this isn't like toxic, by the way. This isn't like a toxic argument. This is legitimate conversation here about, in my opinion, one of the best female wrestlers. Honestly, she's one of the best overall wrestlers I think they have, just like in the company. When you look at her, just once again, the presentation and the position she's been in and everything. But I get it. I totally get both sides of this argument. But I guess that was the only other thing I wanted to bring up for WWE that I can think of was it's a bummer that she's injured, but it's great news for the company if they did lock her down with a new contract, and it's awesome for her if she actually is getting paid like what it sounds like she's getting paid. Like that's I mean, what more could you ask for?
We are not going to disparage the great match between Rhea Ripley and the boat Natalya here, SP3. Let's not say one great match of the year was with Charlotte Flair. Rhea also had a great match with the boat Natalya. Don't hate.
Okay. Do you want me to? I sure.
Which Natalya match? The one that lasted more than 5 minutes, or the one that was like 30 seconds long? Take your pick. They were both
either of those.
Fantastic.
There you go. Is Natalya
People
still...
know I like Charlotte. The thing with Charlotte is I love her moonsault that never hits. It's the greatest move of all time. Absolutely love it.
Which one though? The standing one or the one like when
the one to the outside? Yeah.
Sometimes she does the twist also, adds that little bit of danger to it. I love that she goes for it though.
That's what pops me so much is like no matter what, like the moonsault, it never hit. It's like a clothesline, like it's a moonsault clothesline to the outside, and she's just like, nah, you know what? I got to do this shit. I was like, yeah, yas, queen.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, let's go. Man, I love Charlotte. My brother has seen her in Atlanta before. He saw her at like a bar / club in Atlanta like years ago with Andrade, but didn't put it together until afterwards. Like he saw Andrade, I think, on WWE. This was years back, and he was like, wait, I saw that guy at the Ivy in Atlanta. And I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, wait a second. Wait, he started putting it together. That was Charlotte Flair. He wasn't like that excited about Andrade, but he was like, I was right next to Charlotte Flair and I had no idea. But anyway, apparently she was really nice to everybody that was like around. So that was good to know.
I think you're talking about Romeo. Romeo is the
Romeo is a very big Charlotte mark.
Yeah, Romeo, big fan of Charlotte, as he should be. # bow down, everybody.
Yes.
Best wishes to Charlotte. Hope she comes back. I don't know when she'll be back. I think Survivor Series next year at the earliest. That's my prediction. I think she's gonna be out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what all is injury? Her knee?
Reportedly ACL, MCL, meniscus. WWE said 9 months. Sometimes WWE likes to be like, 9 months, and then they're back in 6. Look, superhuman. But if it's all that, I would imagine it's going to be every bit of 9 months.
Well, listen, this is where the tie-in comes from kind of our conversation a little earlier about the physique of some of these wrestlers when they return to the WWE. This is a situation of like, when you're injured, I don't care what they give you to get better. I don't care what it is. And what you're starting to see now in sports is really interesting because a guy like Aaron Rodgers, snapped his Achilles and he's not going to play this season, but like he came pretty damn close. Like, listen, the fact that he's even running around on the field and throwing the football, like trying to get back. Listen, my point is that used to be like a career-ending injury. Like that used to happen and like you didn't come back. Now it's like you're almost able to come back within a season. And the same kind of thing was happening with ACLs. Remember, like back in the day, if you tore your ACL, it was like a year or so, maybe career ending. Now we're talking like 9 months or so. That's pretty incredible. And the reason that's possible is because of new technology and new medicine. That's how that's possible. So we also, you know, we need to keep our minds open when it comes to this kind of stuff. People get really narrow-minded and they're like steroids, HGH, supplements, hormones, whatever, testosterone, TRT, and they get like all weirded out and they're like, we shouldn't, like, this is unnatural. And it's like, yo, there are people who used to not be able to ever come back from this stuff that are coming back in 9 months. Cody tearing his pec, like he was back, like when John Cena came back from his pec tear, people were like, oh, it's going to be like a year. And he was back in like 4 months or whatever at the Royal Rumble. And it's like, these things, yeah, it was amazing. So we gotta keep our minds open to this new technology and stuff too. Like, are y'all telling me as wrestling fans that like, if there's a way that Charlotte can come back in 6 to 9 months after tearing your ACL and MCL and meniscus, that's possible, that we should be avoiding new medicine like that? That's insane, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's pretty damn amazing. If that was the injury and she might be back within a calendar year, think about that. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. Remember when Triple H tore his quad? People were like, he might never wrestle again. You know what I mean? Like, now you tear your quad and it's like, that sucks, but like, we'll see you like before the end of the year.
Yeah, Vince came back sooner than Triple H.
And Vince did both of them with one slide into the ring. That's the most bizarre injury in the history of anything ever. I can't think of, outside of maybe like, there was the one dude in basketball I remember years back who like his like leg snapped out of his leg, like doing a jump shot or something. Like every now and then you see like a really, really, really strange
Paul
one.
George had a nasty injury for the Pacers. Like that was bone coming out of the leg.
Yeah.
He's still playing at a high level.
It's amazing. Like some of the freak injury. I remember there was the one dude who did like it was like the long jump in the Olympics. This was like forever ago, but he tore it or broke his femur, I believe, or jumping, which is like almost impossible, like to break your femur, especially doing that. And it sounded like a gunshot going off in the stadium. I mean, it was just like, you know, so things happen, you know, but just once again, my point with all of this is like, I think it's pretty incredible that we have the kind of technology and medicine available that you can completely destroy your knee, or you can completely snap your Achilles or something. You can be back within a calendar year to do professional wrestling or play in the NFL or something. That's amazing. That would have been completely unthought of when our parents were coming up. Like this is completely unfathomable.
Move on to the AEW spotlight.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. It was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
Swerve Strickland and MJF had a confrontation backstage last night on AEW Dynamite. Swerve has been talking a lot in the media and even on television, mentioning the World Championship, and finally MJF kind of confronted him about it because they found a ski mask that may or may not belong to one of the Devil's men. And MJF was like, I hear you talking about this title. You know, we got a lot of history going up and down the roads together. You win all these places, and here I am. There's levels to this. And Swerve is like, you do tryouts, I sign contracts. That's the difference. He's like, when I want that title, I'll be there to take it. You know, just have it nice and ready for me. And then Nana got in there, and Swerve I did like MJF just doing the entire Swerve theme song when he walked up to him. But we got the confrontation between MJF and Swerve Strickland. We're going to get this title match, Jensen. We got the confrontation between Hangman and MJF a couple weeks ago, and then Hangman was taken out by the Devil's Men. Is now Swerve going to be taken out by the Devil's Men because of this? Like, what are you thinking after seeing these two interact last night?
That's a really good question. So before I answer, for everyone who might be thinking we're going to go short on our other topics because we went so long in WWE, we're going to go long today because I don't have to work. So just so you know, we're not going to just like run through this as fast as we can for the next 30 minutes, like we might normally have to. So stick around and listen to our thoughts on this stuff. I would say, yeah, probably they're probably going to have to attack Swerve. But my thing is, they're going to have to put the world title on Swerve eventually too. Like, what's getting really interesting is with MJF being the champion, he has this list of challengers now that like a lot of them make like real sense to maybe be the one to dethrone him. And I really liked the back and forth between Swerve and MJF last night. I thought it was funny how he's doing the theme song and stuff like you were saying. He told him like, he said something like taking his grill out when he talked to him or something. Like, it was just, MJF is really good at like getting under people's skin. Like he's still acting and talking just like he really would as a heel, but people just like him now. And he's doing it to heels that people, but at the same time, Swerve is like a de facto babyface because people, like, he's gotten so over that like people like him. So that's been interesting too. So I don't know the best direction of going with all of this, but I actually really like that I don't know exactly. There's a lot of options. I don't think that Swerve and Mogul Embassy is behind the attacks. Like, I don't think that they had anything to do with the devil. And I think if anything, it was planted similar to the red herrings with like the real glass being broken and some of the other stuff that we've seen. The hangman stuff that, you know, with the bottle before we found it, before they attacked him and stuff like that. It was just another way of like them trying to frame somebody. Like, they left the mask there so that people would think that they were involved. So I could see the only different, but it's interesting because like the devil and the masked men and stuff, like they'll attack baby faces or heels. So like it would make sense for them to go after Swerve. I think probably next week they'll probably attack him or they'll get to like Brian Cage or those guys, like Prince Nana will get taken out or something. Like I think you're right about that. And then sorry, go ahead.
Them going after Mogul Embassy members on like Saturday makes some sense. Swerve is in the finals of the Continental Classic, the league finals next week, the triple threat with Moxley and Jay White. You know, Jeff Driver mentions Swerve going to get ganked, and that's how he loses the triple threat. I don't like that. I don't know. We don't need any interference. That's the point of the Continental Classic. No interference stuff. Like, so I don't need Swerve attacked before the match to take him out. I don't need him attacked during the match or anything like that, because that's the point of the Continental Classic. So you don't have that kind of stuff. That was explicitly stated in the rules. You want to do it after the match? Fine. I get that. If Swerve loses, which I do think he will, I'm not saying he's the one who gets pinned, but I don't think he's going to win the Continental Classic. If you want to do it after the match, do the attack. Okay, then it's over. Then you have the winner. But I don't want any devil nonsense to interfere with the Continental Classic stuff. I don't want it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that, especially like you said that one of the main points of the tournament is to prevent stuff like that from happening. It's supposed to be about like pure like wrestling competition in a tournament. And by the way, you were totally right. You called the triple threat scenario. So good call on that. Like, you saw that kind of coming before anyone else did, I think, with how like the tiebreaker wouldn't, like, no one would have the tiebreaker and like how it could be a triple threat. So good on you for that, Jeremy. You totally called that.
Cole Roderick.
Look at Cole. Wait a second. Hold on. You gonna gas up Jeremy Cole. Over here, Cole? I offered you a kiss in the DMs, Cole, and man, whatever. Good to see you, man. Happy holidays, Ratty Daddy. Steven is all right. Hey, I appreciate that. I'll take all right.
Once I saw that scenario, I couldn't unsee it. The triple threat scenario. I don't fully like it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't fully like that it's a triple threat match for next week. But I get why they're doing it. Again, once I saw that scenario last week, I figured that's where they would end up going with it. There's a lot of convoluted stuff in the Collision League where, like, I think Brody King can still be in it, but he doesn't have like a tiebreaker over Danielson or Andrade, but he would have it over Kingston and Claudio. There could be a lot of convoluted scenarios with the I call it the Collision League. So I don't know where that's going to end up being. It feels like it's going to be Eddie Kingston. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to get there. I think maybe Kingston and Danielson can be a finals match. I'd have to relook at the scenarios to fully confirm how you get there. But yeah, I think it's going to be Kingston. I don't want 2 triple threat matches. I truly think that doesn't defeat the purpose of the tournament, but it lessens the actual like round robin play if you just do 2. Then half the people in it make it to the finals. Like that's kind of lame if half the people in the league make it to the league finals. Like what are we doing here?
You're totally right about that. Like that's like on one hand, them doing it with one of the leagues kind of sets an interesting precedent because it's the first time they've done this tournament. So it's like, wow, we didn't even think about this could happen this way. That's kind of cool. Like anything can happen. And like, they're doing it like a real sport. Like, okay, the tiebreaker didn't work out for anybody. And like, that's really the only solution would be a triple threat. But if it became the norm that like half the tournament just made it to the semis, like that would be lame. You're right about that. So I think that they're doing it kind of for like surprise value in the one league this time. They probably won't do it next year with a triple threat. I don't think. I mean, maybe, but I will say this. I've really liked the tournament. I think that it's been like a refreshing kind of reset for AEW in a lot of ways. And I'm trying to pull up I'm looking on AEW's Twitter to try to find like if they had an updated bracket on it, but I think that Kingston and Danielson, like that would make a lot of sense. And that'd be a really great match.
Yeah, SP3 lays it out. I did the scenario post last Saturday when Collision ended, laying out the scenarios, but SP3 has it of Garcia beats Brody, Brian beats Claudio, Eddie beats Andrade, and that's how you get to the finals being the league finals being Brian and Eddie, because Garcia doesn't have, this would be his first win. Brody is already behind in points. Brian and Eddie would be tied in points. Brian has the tiebreaker, but you take the top 2 anyway. So that's how you get there. And Eddie, I think Eddie and Andrade would be tied in points, but then Eddie would have the tiebreaker over Claudio and Andrade because he has head-to-head victories against both of them.
So who are we thinking? Let us know in the chat too, whether it's a super chat. If it's a super chat, we'll put it on the screen. But if not, like, I'm just interested to see what people have to say. Like, what are we thinking now? So regardless of like Danielson in the finals, regardless of who he wrestles, like let's say it is Danielson and Kingston though. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then we have the triple threat over another league. Or who are we thinking for the finals here, and like who actually wins this? Because there's a lot of ways I can still go with this. I think
it's going to be Jay and Eddie in the finals, and this is how because you're factoring the ROH titles, the New Japan Strong titles, and now this new AEW finals. One, this could be a way to get Jay White back in New Japan because he'd be the New Japan Strong champion, and so you get him back into New Japan because he has this title. And then, if Eddie has it, Eddie is always going to be, he can always do ROH stuff. He can always do New Japan Strong stuff. And you can just do different stuff with him with all of these titles. So I think it's going to be them. Swerve, I feel, is almost, because they're doing the devil stuff with him and because you got Keith Lee saying he's targeting him, it feels like Swerve just has other stuff to do now, whether it's the world title, whether it's the devil, whether it's Keith Lee. Like, I don't think they should have done this storyline stuff with him until after the Continental Classic wrapped up. Like, maybe I'm just being I don't know, I don't think cynic's the right word, but maybe I'm just reading too much into things of like they're just doing other stuff with him while this tournament is going on. So it feels like he's not going to win this tournament because he's setting up other stuff after this tournament.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And because I was thinking it was going to be Swerve and Moxley rematching in the semis or the league finals or whatever you want to call them. So But like that's not what we're gonna get. We're gonna because I was feeling if they were gonna do that, that Swerve was gonna get his win back over Moxley because he kind of like it was the finish of the Moxley and Swerve thing where like, he kicked out and like his shoulder wasn't down and all that. Like I feel like he was gonna get that back, but at the same time, you're right about how they have like he's already involved in other stuff that's arguably even more important than becoming whatever this Continental Champion is really going to be. And whoever wins this championship is going to have to be available for all these other events too, for these other companies. So Swerve probably isn't the best person to win the tournament, but he's had a great showing in the tournament, obviously. And I'd agree with everybody else as far as like, he didn't really need to be in the tournament to begin with, considering he was coming off of the win over Hangman. That really should have been Takeshita. Like we've talked about that before. It makes no sense that Takeshita wasn't in this tournament, but like you could have had him on this run coming off of like the 2 Omega wins and then have, Takeshita go into the finals or whatever, or the semis. And he's a guy who like would actually make sense to hold, a title like this and like travel the companies and become a bigger star and stuff worldwide. But I guess at the end of the day, we're at where we're at. And I would say, I really had my mind set on Danielson being in the finals. I'm surprised you don't, but I also understand Kingston. Like there is a strong reasoning for that.
I can see Danielson being in the final. Maybe it's Danielson and Jay White, and Danielson. I guess Jay White wins. My problem with Danielson like winning is he's facing Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. Is he gonna beat Okada again, or are you just, hey, Bryan Danielson just won this big tournament, he has all these titles, he loses to Okada? Hey, like I don't feel that does a whole lot for the Continental Classic. Like it just feels like Danielson, I don't know if I'd have Danielson lose anything, but he's lost at this point in the tournament. I can stomach him losing in the finals again, or to like Eddie Kingston, or in the finals to Jay White a little bit more than, and then facing Okada and maybe losing to Okada, because I assume Okada is going to pick up the victory there, than him being the champion and losing. Because if you go into that match the champion, losing your first match as the champion when it's a non-title thing, it looks a little lame to me.
I completely agree with that. And I hadn't been considering the Okada match factoring in to this tournament at all, but that's a really good point there too. Because my thing with Danielson winning was like, it'd be cool to see him, in Ring of Honor defend that title a couple times, or, in New Japan. It's kind of like a cool thing for him as he wraps up his in-ring career, his full-time in-ring career. I like that he's clarified, by the way. He's like, oh, I'm never retiring. Like, I'm just not going to do it full-time anymore. He's like, I plan on being like 70 and still doing this whenever I feel like doing this, which I love knowing. So we don't have to have this feeling of like, Danielson has to get in everything right now before he leaves. Like he'll still be around to some degree, which is really, really good to know. Kingston, I mean, that'd be pretty wild for him to win this tournament, like go in the champion, come out the champion. That'd be really cool for him though. I'm definitely not against the idea of that. Jay White makes a lot of sense too, though, for all the reasons you mentioned, and his tie-in with New Japan. It's so funny that he's even in that position with New Japan, because I mean, everyone was so sure he was going to WWE that like there was no need for him having that loser leaves New Japan match. Like it was completely unnecessary, because had that never happened and he wound up signing with AEW, there would still be the working relationship, and like you wouldn't have to do any of this to get him back in if this was the loophole back in. And then Moxley, I just don't see them needing that, although they did try to do that. I mean, who knows what his run with the international championship was supposed to look like, but obviously that got shortened because of the injury, like him losing to Phoenix on accident when that happened and stuff. So like maybe they want to kind of run that back and redo kind of what they wanted to do. But if they want to do that, they could have just given Moxley the international championship though. Like he could have beat, and that's also why I don't like all these championships, because the international championship is the Continental Championship, the TNT Championship, and all that. It's just like all these seem pretty similar to me in a lot of ways. But it's I the one caveat, of course, the one thing of difference is that the Continental Championship is supposed to be defended in these other companies too, which I like the idea of that. I thought that's what the International Championship was going to be already. Like, I thought that was going to be defended on way more like indie shows and stuff like that or something, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get that for the Continental. My prediction, though, I'm going to say, you kind of got me convinced on Eddie winning now. I was really set on Danielson in the finals, but Kingston could win this whole thing. Man. So you think Jay White wins it all? Like, is that like your actual prediction?
I think Jay White beats Kingston in the finals. Again, this gets Jay White back in New Japan. And if you remember, the reason Jay White can't go to New Japan is because he lost the loser leaves New Japan match to Eddie Kingston. So him beating Eddie Kingston in the finals is kind of a little poetry there.
Yeah, that actually, you got me sold on that. I forgot that I just mentioned the match, the loser leaves Japan match, but I forgot that it was Kingston who defeated him. Man, and Tony Khan, like, he'd be all about that type of storytelling. I think that's probably it. Or Eddie over Mox, that would be another good one. That'd be good too. There's a lot of good options here, but I think the scenario you just laid out is actually pretty perfect, especially if Jay White wins the whole thing, because that also kind of like is his bounce back from I don't know what you want to call. It was
him
pretty disastrous.
One-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yes, it was pretty disastrous for the perception, in my opinion, that happened to him. Like, they'd done a really good job of building him and him being, up to that point as a challenger, but the way that MJF defeated him, I understood the backlash kind of to that, as far as like you just I don't want to say you buried Jay White, but that wasn't a good look for Jay White if you wanted to keep him as like a main event level guy in your company. But to have him win this tournament is a really good bounce back for that. And also he can be involved once again in these other companies. So he'd be really important to Ring of Honor too. If he actually showed up on that show regularly, that'd be a big help for that brand, I think, too, to have him on there. But we'll see. I think that's a good, I think I came into this conversation thinking it would be like Danielson versus, honestly, like maybe even like Danielson versus Swerve, just because of the role that Swerve's on. But like Swerve's got the other stuff going on, kind of bigger and better things. Moxley is a made man regardless. Like, you can plug and play him literally anywhere in any feud, any scenario, any championship, and he's good to go. So Jay White really makes the most sense of those three with the tie into these other companies. And then Kingston, man. I'm going to go Kingston and Jay White. I'm going to say Jay White wins the whole thing now too. Damn it. I went from him not even being in the finals last week. Like, I thought he was going to lose, or I thought he was going to lose this week, and it was going to be Swerve and Mox again. And now I'm thinking he's going to win the whole damn thing, which is good on them if that was designed that way. Like, they got me. So.
Chi-Town Spurs says the best part about the Devil storyline is when the Devil isn't on screen. The backstage interactions are very interesting. The moment the henchmen show up, they lose me. I'm in agreement on that. I thought the stuff last night where they surrounded the ring and then now there's like more of them and everything, and then the Devil puts his words on the screen. It's like, hey, you want to do another challenge? Like, didn't we just do this 2 weeks ago where you issued this challenge and then you took out MJF beforehand? So you didn't have the challenge, but now we're going to do it again 2 weeks later. Like, Samoa Joe and MJF are wrestling at the pay-per-view, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't
Do you think Samoa Joe's going to win?
I hope Samoa Joe wins.
Yeah.
I hope Samoa Joe wins. I don't think he is, by the way. I think MJF wins and then the Devil reveal. I still think it's Adam Cole. MJF could be the other possibility if he reveals himself and he's just like, it was me all along. And then, that's it. Like, I don't know. That's where I'm at on it.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. Like, and we've already talked a lot about like who the Devil could be. And the more that we talk about it, the more I think there's multiple Devils. So like, it's almost not even worth like trying to think about too much at this point, because there's just so many ways they can go with it, and so many ways they can just explain things that wouldn't make any sense. Like, because if it is MJF, everyone's gonna be like, how's that possible? Like, the devil was on the screen multiple times whenever MJF was in the ring, and like, how could it be at two places at once? And they could just go, it was pre-recorded, or there was another guy in a devil mask doing that while MJF was there was multiple people in this mask. You know, I brought up the idea, I think I can't remember if it was on this show or another one that I was on, but I brought up the idea, and I don't think that they'll do this, but I was like, they could even have it where like the pillars are the devil. It wouldn't make sense with Darby because of like the story with him and Sting for Sting's retirement, but they could theoretically, like, all four of the pillars could be under the devil mask, and like they could have a story based on them being a group, because you'd have reason for MJF to be the devil because he always was the devil. All the broken glass with Jungle Boy, you have that built in. Sammy Guevara has been off television. You can, yeah, like, he's been involved, and then Darby can kind of like turn on Sting, and like that could lead to the two of them having their match for Sting's final match or something like that. Just throwing like an idea out there. Probably won't happen, but just to put it out there, I just think that it's very possible it's more than one person under the devil mask this whole time. So, and also, we don't know who all's a part of this group because there was like 20 people who came out to the ring last night in masks and suits and stuff.
That part last night of like, all right, now are you just like hiring people to just do whatever, and it's not going to be the original people, or you do have your core, however, 3 or 4 people, and then everybody else is just throwaways who can get beat up. Like,
Putty Patrol. Straight up. That was Power Rangers. That's what we're talking. I'm telling you, Will Washington, Kenny Omega booking right there. I love that. I actually love the power. That was they took out the Putty Patrol straight up.
I know that Kenny Omega, best wishes to Kenny Omega, by the way. He kind of buried the own serious, what was supposed to be a serious angle with that tweet. Like, I agreed with Kenny. Your EVP and other top stars should probably not be burying and being like, yeah, this whole thing seems like a big old joke. Haha, tune in to watch this. Like, probably not the best tweet to make. Don't know if Danielson fined him for that one, but maybe. By the way, where were the Acclaimed last night? They showed up on Collision and they're like, we're going to be on a search and destroy mission for the devil. It's like, the devil's only shown up on Wednesdays for the past month or so. Did you not think he was going to show up last night, and you're not there for your search and destroy mission? Like, huh?
Yeah.
The Acclaim should have been there last night.
It's funny because my buddy Mike that I watch the shows with, he said, he literally brought it up last night. He's like, where's the Acclaimed been? He actually said, like, who are the Trios champions? Like, he forgot who the Trios champions were. And I was like, oh yeah, it's the Acclaimed still. And he's like, where the hell have they been? And I was like, remember they got attacked by the devil. And he's like, that was so long ago though. They were like one of the first people that got attacked, I feel like. And I was like, yeah, it's been, and then, yeah, for you to say that, it's like, but then they announced during the show that they were going to come back on Collision, which is confusing because that's,
well, they were back on this past episode of Collision.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen them on Dynamite in a long time. So
they were back on this past episode of Collision, and they said, like, we're here to take out whoever attacked us. We're here. They said, like, search and destroy, seek and destroy Metallica. Like, we're on this mission to find who attacked us. And they got confronted by Top Flight and Action Andretti. So they're going to defend the titles. But like, hey, if you're on this search and destroy mission, probably want to show up to the show where the devil has been for the past 2 months now. Like, he's shown up on Collision once. I think he did one video package on Collision. Otherwise, he's always been on Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And also, Wardlow did that video. There was a video that ran last night of Wardlow, like, saying that, just straight up calling MJF the devil, and then he's going to attack the devil. I think it's pretty clear he's one of the guys in one of these masks, right? Like, it's got to be, Wardlow's got to be one of these guys.
Yeah, maybe. He keeps saying he's going to take out the devil and everything. I know people have speculated Wardlow because he had the messed up hair that one time, and there was that one big dude who was like, oh, this looks like it might be Wardlow. It could be. I guess it depends on who the devil is.
Of course.
I don't think Wardlow's the devil.
No. He's one of the guys in the masks. Like, I'm sorry, like one of like the henchmen or whatever.
Yeah, is Wardlow just gonna be a sidekick again? Like, that's
Probably.
where I'm a little.
It's not
If
going
it's
so
Adam
good for
Cole-
him outside of that, though. You know, he's like really
That's
just
true.
kind of like it hasn't really like they've tried many times to make Wardlow a thing, right? And like I don't necessarily dislike Wardlow. I just like he's never going to be hotter than he was when he beat MJF. I mean, they could maybe get him there at some point, but I feel like that was really fumbled. Like he was white hot, and then like now it's like I think
MJF got
MJF
stretchered out, and then the next time we saw him, he's like, "Yeah, that shit didn't happen." Tony Khan, fuck you, you mark.
yeah, that's yeah, that never happened. That's right. Oh my god,
Just
that's
walked
funny.
out on television after being stretched out of the arena, and was like,
Yeah,
"Tony Khan, I quit." Like, all right, I guess that stretcher job never really took place.
never happened. You fucking mark. But I feel like Wardlow is probably best served as like kind of a he worked well as like the muscle guy, like the I say the muscle man, the muscle, the like the security for MJF, his bodyguard. That's what I'm trying to say. I forgot the word bodyguard for a second. He works good as a bodyguard, or as like even in like the Pinnacle, like his role there could have, and the group worked out better. Like that was, it's a good role for him, I think. And you can still have matches, you can still win championships. Like, I just don't think that he's necessarily with the Raw. Listen, if we were talking original AEW roster, then this is a different conversation. At this point, Wardlow is probably already a world champion. But with the current roster they have, it's tough to be Wardlow, I think, as a singles wrestler by yourself with the roster that they have and the talent that they have. It's just, you can only do the Powerbomb Symphony so many times where people are like, okay, I've seen this, I've done this, but like you're doing this, okay, cool. But like the rest of the show is what we're seeing in the Continental Classic and stuff like that. Like it's like watching two totally different things.
Rob says it would be fruitless to put a mask on the man that has recently openly said he's coming for MJF. I don't disagree with that of like, why does he need to hide behind a mask? He has said, I'm coming after this guy. I'm coming after the devil who he believes is MJF. Like, but that's the swerve of it all, exactly. Right? Is that, right. He's actually in cahoots with the devil and possibly in cahoots with MJF. So
exactly. That's my whole line of thinking on that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I do get the point of like, you don't really need to put a mask on that person. But
sure.
Chi-Town Spurs, it wasn't super chat, but I want to bring it up. You think the two henchmen could be FTR and we're getting the Pinnacle with Adam Cole? I don't know. Because then you're taking Roderick away and the Kingdom away from Cole. And I feel like they are going to get elevated out of this is my whole thing. And if they're just like, if they're not attached to Cole, they're just going to get beat by this new Pinnacle and by this new Pinnacle group with Adam Cole. So I don't know. I think Roderick might be proven right and that it might be MJF, or that he is again doing the red herring of like, yeah, it's MJF when it's really him and Adam Cole and everybody the entire time. So
yeah, I've definitely considered it being the rest of the Pinnacle. I've considered, but there's so many ways you can go with this because like it would make sense for it to be FTR and Wardlow. I think that Britt Baker makes a ton of sense, whether she's one of the people in the devil mask or she's one of the henchmen or whatever. Like I think that she would make sense in a group like this, especially because she could either turn on Adam Cole and align with MJF as the devil, or just continue to be aligned with Adam Cole, and it would make sense with them being together for real. Like it would make sense that they were in a group together. But there's also other possibilities, like, I mean, for all we know, Bobby Fish is back. Like you can have, I would love that. Bobby Fish is the man. I think that Bobby Fish, like if he came back, and for all we know, and I don't want to I have no idea, but I don't want to downplay how serious the injuries and stuff are. But like Kyle O'Reilly, he's been posting a lot on social media about like his rehab. And like maybe he's actually closer to a return than like what he's showing. Like maybe like I I have no idea. I'm hoping, I'm so optimistic about Kyle coming back that like I'm really hoping. But like when I watch his videos, it looks like he's still like trying to get strength back and like he's doing like really minimal work. But for all I know, these are videos from like before when he was rehabbing. I have no idea how recent this stuff is that he's showing people. So I'm thinking also in the back of my mind, like maybe Undisputed Era is the group, and this is how they're reintroducing them. Another scenario that I think is really interesting that I would really like is if Adam Cole is the devil, which I still think makes the most sense of all these scenarios. I still think Adam Cole is probably the devil. If the Young Bucks are with him, are two of the guys, because the three of them have the history together. They attack Hangman. Like, I mean, they were the kind of looked like they were splitting. You need to turn the Young Bucks heel. Like they were getting lost in the next. Kenny's gone. Like, you know, but gives them like I think this would be a good way of turning the Young Bucks heel and aligning them with Adam again if they wanted to do that. So,
I mean, the last time we saw the Young Bucks and Adam Cole interact, Adam Cole was kicking the shit out of them.
True, but I mean, it's pro wrestling, dude. I mean, for all we know, Wardlow and MJF are in cahoots right now. We saw the same thing happen between the two of them. It's just the fact that like now Kenny's gone, and it's like, well, Kenny's gone. Like Adam's still here. You know, like Hangman, like. They could even say they can play it up like we made the wrong friendship choice here. Like look at what happened. Like Kenny turned out to be, he went off and became friends with Jericho and abandoned us. Us and Hangman had the falling out. Like screw that guy, screw Hangman Page. Like we put all this on the line for him to reunite the elite, and look where it got us. Now we can't even get on the show and all this stuff, and we're EVPs in this company and we're not even featured anymore. Like what's happening here in our own company. And like, that's, you know, we've turned back to Adam Cole, who's always been our friend, you know, like I don't know. I feel like you can make logical sense of the Young Bucks and Adam Cole being involved together in this.
None of the henchmen have thrown a super kick. So I don't know.
True. But that's like, I mean, I've been paying attention to some of this stuff though. Like the other week when they put Hangman through the windshield, they did it was like a double choke slam. Two people who were like a little bit larger. One of them could have definitely been Wardlow. I don't know. But I mean, if someone threw a super kick, immediately it would be a giveaway, you know, so they wouldn't do that probably.
Rob says, lest we not forget, MJF joined the inner circle, drove a wedge between Jericho and Guevara, whose relationship never fully recovered. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And let's also not forget with Jack Perry, like MJF straight up has told him multiple times, like, me and you are not so different and this and that. Like, I still think it very well could be either Jack Perry as the devil or he's one of the people. It'd make even more sense. And I think people would like it even better if he wasn't the devil, but he was one of the guys in the group. Like, because you can still make sense of all the glass. It's like Jack Perry's the psycho of the group who likes putting people through glass. He's not necessarily the leader, but like he's, you know, that's his role in the group. Like, you know, so there's so many ways they can go with this. So it's all reckless speculation. But the cool thing about this story, I don't think it's been done necessarily the best way. Like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of missed with me for it, and it hasn't been perfect. But what it is doing is it's making me think, and I legitimately don't know where they're going with it. I don't know who's going to be in this group, and I don't know what the end game is of the group. Like once it's revealed, like then what? But I like that I don't know as a wrestling fan. It's interesting, and I don't want to know. I don't want spoilers. I want somebody to tell me who it is. Like I want to watch and let this play out and see what happens.
Well, I think the end game is going to be determined on who the actual devil is, and then you got to have a follow up after that, because if it's Jack Perry and then he goes on to do nothing, then they're okay. What'd you do this entire time? I like whodunits. It's fun. It's fun to speculate. I don't think this has been the most cohesive whodunit through the start, but they can tie it all around once they reveal who it actually is. And you know, I assume we'll get that at World's End. Hopefully they don't stretch this out any longer, because that is the problem with a lot of whodunits is they go on too long, and this felt like it's gone on a little too long.
I feel like it's got to end at World's End too. I mean, it's like perfect for that being the name of the show. And even like when Copeland debuted, they were talking about like what were they marketing it as? It was like the big, they weren't calling it a reset, but it was like there was like a term that they were using throughout the build to the pay-per-view before Copeland returned, and it was like, I can't remember.
There was a new era.
A new era, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then of course I want to be the rated R superstar, right? So World's End kind of feels like the end of the world for AEW. Like the devil was revealed and like a new world begins after this pay-per-view. So we'll see. There's a lot of ways I can go with this. I'm definitely interested, and yeah, well, I don't know if there's any more I can really add to that. If there's more I can think of, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I think it's got to end at World's End as well.
Move on to the others.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. This is a good point too.
Oh, okay.
Well, if the Bucks wind up being, I'm gonna put this. Yeah, we have a tag title match coming up for MJF and Samoa Joe, and that's actually a fairly good prediction. Possibly, maybe the Young Bucks are the tag team. So anyway, we'll move on. I want to throw that out there too.
All right.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Athena remains your ROH Women's Forever Champion. She defeated Billy Starks in the main event of ROH Final Battle. Billy got Athena's respect, which is what she wanted. And now Athena just got to find new challengers for her. I think Billy is eventually the one to take the belt from her. I said before last week, I said, like, I could see Athena winning and then them delaying the Billy Starks coronation a little bit. And that is what happens. Now, how long do you go with Athena as the champion? Because she's kind of running out of contenders here. And I don't know who's next to really step up. They got Taya Valkyrie, they've got Nyla Rose as potentials there, but like both of them are kind of heelish as well. I think Athena's still technically a heel. Can they bring Ronda back for a match? Like, is that where they end up going? I don't know. I don't know where they're introducing a ROH Women's Television Championship apparently. So they're gonna have a new ROH Women's title. But yeah, I don't know who's next for Athena. The match was really good. Match was fantastic. I just don't know where they're going next with Athena after beating Billy Starks. What do you think?
Yeah, either do I. I don't know. How's Layla Hirschman doing? I know that she's been on Ring of Honor. I like her a lot.
She lost to Athena not too long ago. Not that they can't like rebuild her or anything. The next ROH show is not until WrestleMania weekend, I assume.
Yeah,
like that's the next big ROH show. So like they got plenty of time to rebuild. By that point,
it'll be Billy. It'll be Billy again by then.
Yeah, by that point you can get back to Billy. So yeah, I don't know what Athena is going to do in the meantime outside of just proving ground matches, and then that's a long time to stretch. Like it feels like you need something in between this.
Yeah. Regardless, though, I do think. So I will say. So I thought the match between Athena and Billy Starks was awesome. I loved it. I was really, really hoping that Billy was going to win the championship, but like, okay, so the match ruled. I was a bit confused by the like afterwards, right? Like I think a lot of people were kind of like, you went through all this and now you're just like hugging at the end of the match and you just want to be your minion again. I get it. By the time that they rematch, they'll have another falling out, and it'll be a great moment because now you can set the stage for Billy to win this title, like WrestleMania weekend. Like that's an even bigger stage. So I'm okay with this if that's the end game still. But Billy proved like she's clearly ready to be the champion there already. She's only 19. She just turned 19, and she's one of the best in-ring workers, honestly, I think you can find out there. Like I think she's fantastic. And Athena is absolutely killing it. Like she has the whole time she's been in Ring of Honor. So like these are two women who are operating at a super high level. I'd be totally fine with them having a series of matches with one another for the championship. As a Billy Starks fan, I wanted to see her win, but she still got to do all her stuff. I mean, she did like a Segoya driver on the outside, and she's hitting her swantons, and I mean, all the Billy Stark stuff that you want to see, she was able to do, which was really cool. I know Mouse was really proud. I got to see, all the people. It was really cool seeing all the support for Billy because she was so for people who don't know, who might just be like familiar with Billy now that she's in Ring of Honor. And I know people know that she's young, but like, she started training when she was probably like 14 years old or so. And she's been actually out there wrestling on the independent circuit as young as like probably around 15 years old. But the reason that's so crazy outside of the age is like, she already is like this young veteran because she has these years already. And like, so she's worked with so many hundreds of wrestlers on the independent scene and has built all this goodwill in the wrestling community already before ever going to AEW and Ring of Honor. So it isn't that she's just this like, oh, cool. Same with Nick Wayne, by the way. Like, these aren't just like these like kids who are just now starting that are like, oh, there's some talent here. Let's put him on TV. It's like, no, these are people who earned their way over the last like 4 or 5 years of their lives, touring the world and really putting the work in and earning their spots in these companies just like anybody else would. They just did it at a super young age. But it's so cool seeing at 19 years old, the amount of support that she was getting online of like, it's Billy Stark's day, like Big Bill, let's go. Like, it's like, it was great to see. So her time's coming. They have all the time in the world with her, but and same with Nick, but why wait? The talent's there. Similar to MJF. MJF was in his early 20s when he started his AEW run. Like, just because the whole talent over tenure thing is real to me. Like, if you're talented, I don't care how long you've been around. AJ Styles wasn't a wrestling fan growing up. He's openly talked about that plenty. Like, he was an athlete. I think he was a baseball player, and he kind of fell into pro wrestling at an older age. And I say older age, he was still fairly young in the grand scheme of things, but he wasn't a wrestling fan. So I like in his early 20s or whatever, he starts wrestling. He's really good at it because he's athletic, and he became one of the best of all time. I don't care what your background is. I don't care if you love wrestling or not, if you're a fan or not, if you're 19 years old, if you're 40 years old. I don't care what it is. If you're good at this, I want to see you do this. And Billy Starks is like, she'll be the next Ring of Honor Women's Champion. So it'll happen at the next show. I think it should have already happened, but there's really the only problem I have with this is like, the story's already played out, in my opinion. It's like, you already did the whole Minion thing. There's already 2 hours plus worth of highlights and storytelling you can find on YouTube of this story itself over the last close to 8 months or whatever it's been. You've already told the story. Now she's back to being the Minion, so you got to kind of redo the breakup again to lead to the rematch, which just doesn't. You kind of already done it. Like, you could have just waited, I guess, and just done this all at WrestleMania. But I also get her losing and her chasing the title again and stuff. I get it. But anyway, shout out Billy Starks and shout out Athena. Great run that she's on. And it takes two to do this. It isn't just, I'm this huge Billy Starks fan. It's all about Billy Starks. Athena did her part as well. And I thought that was the best match of the pay-per-view. And those are stacked Ring of Honor pay-per-views. Like, in ring, they always show out. And I thought that was the best match of the show.
It was a fantastic, fantastic match. And now we'll see what happens with Athena and Billy Starks and how much more they can get out of this. Maybe Billy does win the women's television title, and then she decides, after defending that for however long,
option C,
she is going to once again go after Athena, and then she does eventually win that title. Rob is saying Billy Stark's more talented than Charlotte Flair.
I'd agree with that.
The other spotlight, Josh Bishop. It finally aired. Our pal Joshua Bishop. He won the MLW Battle Royal, tossing Matthew Justice over the top with the what's he called?
Bishop Bomb.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bishop Bomb, and I was like, that doesn't seem correct. But toss him over the top
a few times. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. And he won, and Bishop's gonna get a pretty big push, I'd imagine, here in MLW, especially if Hammerstone's actually leaving at the end of the year.
Yes. So this is kind of back to. So this actually happened in like the middle of November, but it's airing now, which is a little strange because like they've had some big MLW shows in between this, so it's all kind of catching up timeline wise on Fusion now but by the way, you can watch it for free on the MLW YouTube channel. Just search Major League Wrestling. You can watch these shows for free, yeah. And we just wanted to, we talked about this with Bishop when we interviewed him recently, because it had already happened. But so if you want to hear his thoughts on it, he talks about winning this match, but it's cool that it's finally aired, so we can kind of talk about it now here without it being a spoiler. But Yeah, essentially what wound up happening was there was a battle royal on MLW Fusion this past week, and the final two participants left in the match were Josh Bishop and Matthew Justice. The two of them have a long storied history with one another. Some of the most viral indie moments that you're going to find in the last handful of years are clips of those guys doing like Death Valley drivers and stuff, like off of balconies through tables. I don't know if Cole's still in here, Cole Radrick, but he has a clip that goes viral. Every like handful of months, you'll see the clip of him laying on a table while someone jumps off of the scaffold and misses him. Every now and then I see the clip of Bishop and Justice like doing the Death Valley driver. Because by the way, it's like Justice doesn't like drop him like John Cena off the ladder to Edge at TLC. Like, all right, you're taking this. See ya. Like they go together, both jump off of the scaffold through the tables. It's gnarly and it's super dangerous. But the two of these guys have a history of doing crazy stuff. They love hitting each other over the head with unprotected chair shots. These guys are absolutely nuts. The finish of this match was Josh Bishop doing the Bishop bomb, which for those who don't know, it's like an outsider's edge, but then he turns it like into the power bomb. So he kind of like throws you up, that grabs you by the legs and hits you. So love it. And he did it from the inside the ring over the top rope through a table on the outside. So it was badass. And I don't know when it's airing, but Bishop and Justice, like they have a one-on-one match in MLW. I just don't know the timeline on like when and where all this is going to air, because they do all the Fusion episodes are on YouTube for free, but then they do the live PLEs on Fight Plus that are in real time, that are actually live. So shout out to Joshua Bishop though, and WTF over there in MLW. Y'all know me, just anywhere that's trying to push Josh Bishop, I'm a fan of seeing that happen. So hopefully he gets a big push coming out of this. I'd like to see him beat Matthew Justice. No disrespect to Matthew Justice, I'm a big fan of his as well, but they got a cool opportunity with Josh Bishop in MLW. He's never been there before. He's brand new to them, and they're making really strong comparisons to him and Sid Vicious, like even in the promos and stuff that he's doing. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like there were some really awesome qualities about Sid Vicious, like that fans miss, and Bishop's a better in-ring worker than Sid was. Like he looks similar to Sid, but like he moves around better than Sid. And he's a lot younger. Well, obviously in real time, he's a lot younger, but Bishop's still only like 25, 26 years old. So he's got his whole future ahead of him. And I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm not speaking for him or for anyone else. Like I'm just saying it myself as a fan. I think it's only a matter of time before Joshua Bishop's in the WWE, and he's like a household name in wrestling. So if you want to know more about him and you want to see him get a push here in MLW, watch the most recent episode of MLW Fusion and watch him Bishop bomb his way to a win in MLW for that battle royal.
I like they're positioning Bishop to a very high level. I know with Hammerstone potentially leaving, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, whether or not he returns. We saw Richard Holiday leave and then come back a few months later. So it's not to say that Hammerstone is guaranteed to leave. He just might test other things out, see where he ends up positioning out of that. If Hammerstone does leave for a longer haul, Bishop is kind of the guy to kind of step up and be that kind of enforcer for the WTF. He has a great chemistry with Tom Lawler. He's going to be working with Cardona, Richard Holiday. All these guys are very well television ready, have been on television before, and Bishop can learn a lot from them. And that's going to better prepare him. Sorry to MLW. It's going to better prepare him for a company like WWE or AEW, where, I think everybody wants to end up. Bishop has made no secret. He wants to end up in WWE. He's talked about that with us. So that's not any breaking news that I'm putting out there. Looking forward to see what they do with Bishop in MLW, and hopefully he actually gets a pay-per-view match and not just kind of TV taping matches moving forward.
Yes, Bishop's just gotta keep buying those bootleg shirts when he goes to WWE shows and meets the higher ups. That's good. That's gonna get him in. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, listen to our interview with him. He's actually, I've seen him tweet about that a little more often too, about this. He went to a WWE Raw in Ohio fairly recently. It was the show where like Kevin Owens put over AIW and everything. And he apparently bought just like outside of these events, usually they'll have like the bootleg shirts and stuff that are super cheap. And he apparently, I need to see the shirt. I don't know if we ever saw a picture of it, but apparently it had like not even the company anymore and stuff, like, you know, really poorly photoshopped into this shirt. And they brought him like around the wrestling. I think they brought him backstage, and he got to actually like meet Kevin Owens and stuff in person. And he's wearing this bootleg WWF shirt that he bought outside. I love it. Josh Bishop's the man.
Move on to the indie spotlight here.
I want to give a big motherfucking shout out.
Jake Something won the Glory Pro crown at Glory Championship. What's it called, Jensen? Glory
Crown of Glory.
Of Glory Championship. Making sure I was saying that right. I thought words, the order of the words there confused me to make me believe I was saying it wrong.
I can explain the whole situation here. It's a little bit hard to explain. So over in Glory Pro Wrestling, one of my favorite independent promotions. You also go check them out. Shout out to Dan the Dad and everybody doing hard work over there behind the scenes, and all the talented people out there in the ring for Glory Pro Wrestling. Full disclosure, I went over to Nashville. I used to drive like 5 hours one way, 5 hours back, just to go to like the St. Louis area to watch Glory Pro shows, because the talent was, they were indie wrestling shows to like I'd never really seen before, like when I started going there. And I owe a lot to Glory Pro as far as like my fandom of indie wrestling. And they have a show called Ascend that airs every week on their YouTube channel. I don't know how long the series runs for. They just did episode 15 was the most recent one, and it's for free on their YouTube channel. So just search Glory Pro Wrestling. I give the results for their shows pretty much every episode of the Weekender over on Fightful Select. So if you want to keep up with them more, check out the Weekender. But over this past week or so, there's been some big moves, some big wins for the Glory Pro Crown of Glory Championship, called the Clown of Glory. The Clown of Glory Championship, the Crown of Glory Championship, which is the heavyweight title for Glory Pro. So the champion going into Ascend episode 15, which is the most recent episode on YouTube, the champion going into the show was Calvin Tankman. Camaro Jackson, who is the former champion, he wound up beating Calvin Tankman, hit him with the lariat, 1, 2, 3, won the title to finish up Ascend. To win the main event, I should say, of Ascend episode 15. After the match, before he could even really celebrate the win, Jake Something came out to the ring and he attacked both Tankman and the new champion, Camaro Jackson. Warhorse came out and made the save there. So Warhorse came out and he fought off Jake Something. So now it's Warhorse holding this title belt and handing it to Jackson, but Warhorse doesn't really want to let go of it because he's like, I want to be the champion too. So we're coming out of Ascend where Jackson's the new champion. Jake Something has made an attack. Warhorse made the save. All three of these guys want to be the champion. So fast forward to, I believe it was on the 17th of December. And I don't think this has aired yet. And I apologize if it has. I haven't been able to see this. I saw on the Glory Pro's Twitter is actually where I first noted. I saw pictures that Jake Something had become the new champion. He had just defeated Jackson, who had just won the title. And I went and I couldn't find the match anywhere. So keep a lookout for that. It'll probably be available on either their YouTube channel or a streaming service. So I'll keep people up to date, especially on the Weekender when I'm able to watch it. But so Jake Something wins the championship in a triple threat over Warhorse and Jackson a few days ago, which is setting up a 3 Stages of Hell match coming up like within the next 10 days. Glory Pro has their big end of the year show. So the next big Glory Pro show, the big main event, is going to be a 3 Stages of Hell match It's going to be Jake something defending his championship against Warhorse. So that gets everybody caught up on what's going on in Glory Pro Wrestling. Just wanted people to know that there have been 2 new champions over the last week or so, and there's a big 3 stages of hell match coming up. And Warhorse is really hungry right now for like something to happen. Like he's been gunning for that IWTV championship again that he lost but never had a chance to reclaim. He's trying to get this Crown of Glory championship. He's out there. He seems very, very motivated to make some big moves right now because he's been in a limbo for quite a while. So keep your eyes on that and check it out when it's available. I would highly recommend following the Glory Pro Wrestling product. I think they're a fantastic independent promotion, and we got some damn good wrestlers. I mean, think about the people I just talked about. Camaro Jackson's awesome, and he's somebody who's still fairly under the radar in the grand scheme of things, but he's really talented. Everywhere I've seen him wrestle, he's done a great job, and he gets over everywhere. Calvin Tankman, same thing. He's no longer with MLW, so he's kind of free to be wherever, and I'm interested to see where he lands eventually because he could be a big deal really anywhere. Warhorse, just talked about him, probably the longest. I think he was the longest reigning IWTV champion ever. And once again, trying to get back into where he's trying to get to. And I've also seen him making big moves over in Moist Wrestling League with Charlie, aka Penguin Zero, aka Moist Critical, and those guys over there on YouTube and Twitch and stuff, making big moves. Then you got Jake Something, who is a big name, doing big things in Impact Wrestling, and a guy who could very well become a big star in AEW or WWE one day as well. He's got a ton of potential still, and he's been doing a great job for a long time. So those 4 people alone right there, that's the top of the card for Glory Pro Wrestling. So go support Glory Pro.
I try to post, and the dad's always good about messaging me of posting Glory Pro, the show. It streams for free. Glory Pro Ascend streams for free every week on their channel. So you can just go over there, subscribe to the channel, and check out the weekly shows. And then usually they have like the big pay-per-view events. I don't know if they air on any platform, but
they've changed
the
their
matches
streaming platforms. So like I don't know where they are currently, but they have been on IWTV, they have been on Fight Plus. I don't know.
But the matches from the big shows typically air as part of the Ascend series is what happened. So
sorry, yes, I didn't mean to cut you off. You are correct about that. Like everything that they tape and stuff, like you eventually should be able to watch on YouTube. They usually air like 2 or 3 matches per episode of Ascend, and Ascend usually runs anywhere between like a half hour and an hour long. So it's an easy watch as a wrestling fan too, and it's free. You can watch it on any platform off of YouTube.
Yeah. So if you haven't checked out Glory Pro, go check them out. They're doing good stuff. And shout out to Dan the Dad. He's been kind to us. So
absolutely
appreciate him. The other indie spotlights, Mick Foley, a very rare appearance at ICW No Holds Barred, taking out John Wayne Murdoch in the match, hitting him with a barbed wire. I believe it was barbed wire 2x4. Might have been a baseball
bat. Yeah.
Okay. And then he used a double arm DDT, dressed as Santa Claus as well. Mick Foley, very rare independent appearance for Mick Foley. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, came out and helped Tara Zepp get the win over JWM at ICW NHB. Yeah, the crowd went nuts, as they should. I mean, so ICW No Holds Barred, they ran 2 shows over this past weekend. The first one was in New York City, where they couldn't, for similar reasons, like when GCW ran Hammerstein.
There you go.
When GCW ran Hammerstein, they had like the limitations on like blood and certain weapons and stuff like that. ICW and HB had the same kind of thing going on with their New York City show. But it was a great show. Like I actually talked about that on the Weekender quite a bit, how like Brian Myers, for instance, had a match on the New York City ICW NHB show. And it was one of the best Brian Myers matches I think I've ever seen. And it wasn't like overly, like, it was just like a hardcore match. And I thought it was really, really good against Danny D'Amato. And my point though is like, so they had this like this show in New York City where they couldn't really do what they normally would with like all the as much violence, as much weapons, no blood, the environment. And a lot of the time they'll do the matches in like a cage, like in a facto cage, or like they'll like literally go out into like on a beach, like in the sand, and just like draw lines in there. And like that's where they fight at for the night for the matches and stuff. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because that was night 1 of ICW and HB. Night 2 is what we're talking about right now. And this was in I think in New Jersey, I want to say, where the rules are completely different. So this was like a true ICW and HB show. So like this Terazep versus John Wayne Murdoch match was brutal, violent, bloody. Just like they made up for like they couldn't do the death matches on show 1, so show 2 was all death matches. And so this is, and once again, the reason this is all relevant is because this is a death match crowd that was watching this happen. So they're watching JWM and Zep. They're bloodthirsty. They are deathmatch wrestling fans. They are into it. And these are 2 of the best in the game going one-on-one in this deathmatch scenario. And out comes Santa Claus, which at first people are like, what? But then you kind of see the way Santa Claus is walking, and you're like, wait a second. Like that's kind of a limp that I recognize. And then you realize like they get up close to his face. And then especially once he gets into the ring and like, people are like, wait, that's Mick Foley. Like, no way. Mick Foley is here at ICW NHB at this random like bar wherever this was happening at, like in a death match. Because like these are people who appreciate like the Japanese death match and like the stuff that Mick Foley, like this is Mick Foley's people that he came out in front of. So the place popped huge to see Mick Foley. And then, like you said, he hit a double arm DDT. He used Barbie, the baseball bat, and boom. It was Barbie the barbed wire 2x4. Well, technically, I don't know. But
that's what confused me of which one he used. Of like sometimes he used the 2x4, sometimes he used the baseball bat. It's just whatever gimmick he can find to wrap in barbed wire.
But he hit John Wayne Murdoch in the head with that barbed wire baseball bat. And then Zep came off the top rope with a flying crossbody. 1, 2, 3, got the W. After the match, Mick Foley got on the microphone and put over Zep, put over the talent, put over deathmatch wrestling and the fans, and just I can't imagine how cool that would have been. Like I would have been going crazy too. Like you go to this show in New Jersey in this like bar or wherever it was like a small venue, and like there's not that many. I mean, for an indie show that it was a good turnout. Like don't get me wrong, but like in the grand scheme of things, like not that many people, like for Mick Foley is my point of view is like for Mick Foley to show up at this thing and make this appearance and get in the ring and hit a double arm DDT. Like he didn't just come out there and just say something. He actually came out there and hit one of his signature moves, use his baseball bat. Like that's awesome. Like those fans got their money's worth plus, times 10. By just being in the same building as Mick Foley that night. And you got to see him do that and like be in the ring during a death match. Like there was already like broken glass and tubes and barbed wire and a whole bunch of stuff all over the ring. Foley didn't care. It's still Mick Foley. He goes there, hits a double arm DDT like it's nothing. He'll fall on glass. He doesn't care. So like, shout out to Mick Foley. That's incredible that he was willing to do that. And shout out to ICW NHB. I cover their shows often on the Weekender as well. They're a fantastic indie promotion. And even if you're not into just deathmatch wrestling, they have a good mix of a bit of everything, but they do run a lot of deathmatch heavy shows. And they're running a lot more often out of like Chattanooga, out of the TWE arena and stuff. So keep your eye out for ICW NHB. They have a really, really good product.
I am not into the deathmatch stuff, as I think most people know. I made it pretty clear on this show. I can take it in small doses, but a full show, can't do it. It is still very cool that Mick Foley was willing to come in, do this spot, put some extra attention on them, because I don't watch a lot of the IWC shows. Again, not a deathmatch person, but I watched this and I saw the moment when it happened that night. It happened on Saturday night. So I saw it when it happened on that night. I know of John Wayne Murdoch as well. He's done a lot of he's wrestled for like GCW and things like that.
Oh, big time. Yeah, he's like he's probably, for my money, he's probably, I mean, I don't want to, this once again, I never want to like discredit anybody or like when I say certain stuff, but like actually, this is a fair way of saying he's arguably the best deathmatch wrestler in the world right now, John Wayne Murdoch. Like he's on everyone's list as like one of the top 3, top 5 in the entire world right now in the deathmatch scene. So for sure.
Yeah. So that was a good get for Foley to come in. Again, Foley doesn't really need to do this stuff. He's a legend. So he clearly does it because he wanted to just give back to the company, give back to wrestling in some way. So that was cool that Mick Foley would do it and is like paying attention to this kind of stuff. Like I know Foley is still like involved a little bit in wrestling. I don't know if he does his podcast anymore. If he does, there has been a new episode in forever. But I know he like did pay some attention to like the mainstream stuff, the AEW, WWE stuff. I didn't realize he was paying enough attention to know this stuff was going on and be willing to like help out with this. He's done independent spots before, but it's usually involving like beating up Frank the Clown.
Right.
He has obvious ties to. So like I didn't realize he was, paying attention to non sort of that stuff. So it was cool. It was cool that Foley agreed to do this, and it was cool that ICW was able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool stuff. You can watch that on independentwrestling.tv if you want to watch ICW, No Holds Barred. All of their shows, I think their entire library is available there. And you can use code Fight Talk if you want to. Just lets the platform know that I sent you their way. So just, excuse me, FIGHTTALK, all is one word, no spaces. And go watch you some independentwrestling.tv.
All right. Let's, Jensen, you stick around for the post, or do you have to go?
Possibly. So I have somebody coming over here at noon. I had a leak in my ceiling. It's fixed now. Like my roof is fixed, but like the actual ceiling, there's like a crack in someone's got to come and patch this thing. So I have somebody coming by at noon my time. So depending on if they're still here or I'll put it this way, if I can jump back on the computer, I'll jump back on after the interview, but I can't guarantee that depending on what's going on here. So, okay. Well,
if you want to go and plug everything now, you can.
Cool. I'll plug my stuff real quick. Thank you everyone for watching, as always. You can follow me on X at FightTalk _ FIGHTTALK _. Use code Fight Talk and independentwrestling.tv. Listen to the Weekender podcast, I should say, the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. That's normally on Sundays, sometimes on Mondays. It was actually on Tuesday this week because I was out of town over the weekend and I was in the mountains in North Carolina, and I had no signal, so I couldn't stream shows until I got back home on Monday. So the weekend was a little late this week, but normally it's on a Sunday or a Monday. When football season's over, it'll always be on Sundays, but NFL throws it off a little bit. And sometimes there's a GCW show late on Sunday or something. So just keep up with FightfulSelect.com, either Sunday or Monday, usually Fightful Select Weekender. I talk the world of independent professional wrestling, so check that out. I'll probably do some sort of best of year-end type show either this week or next week. Yeah, outside of that, I don't think there's anything else really to plug. I hope y'all enjoy this interview with Ernest the Cat Miller, WCW, WWF legend. And yeah, like I said, we were expecting to get 20, 30 minutes. We go for an hour 20. So I hope you enjoy it. Starts off a little bit slow, I think. I may be a little hard on myself for that. At first I was I think the cat's feeling us out a little bit, but then he really starts opening up. So I think you're going to really enjoy the interview. And I very much appreciate his time because, as he mentions, he doesn't do very many of these. So we are very honored that he took the time to speak to us about so many topics here on the Spotlight on Fightful. So thank you to the cat, Ernest Miller. Thank you, Jeremy, as always. Thank you, chat. Good seeing everybody. I don't have to clock in for work though, so that's nice. So you may see me after the interview.
All right, everybody, let's get into it. Creator Spotlight with the greatest of all time, WCW legend, WWE legend, even though he only wrestled twice on television, Ernest the Cat Miller.
Welcome to the Creator Spotlight, the interview portion of the Spotlight here on Fightful. I am Stephen Jensen, joined as always by Jeremy Lambert. And our guest today is a professional wrestling legend. You know him from WCW, you know him from WWE, you know him as the Ayatollah from The Wrestler. He's the 3-time world karate champion. He is the greatest. Ernest the Cat Miller. Thank you, Ernest, for joining the show today. How you doing, man?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a long time coming. For people who don't know, small world. I'm a lifelong fan of professional wrestling, and my brother is a boxing trainer around Atlanta, and he sees you all over the place. And I was like, if we could ever get Ernest the Cat Miller on the show, it would be an absolute honor. So,
and you know, because he's such a nice guy, usually I said no to these, but because he's such a nice guy, I told him, I said, yeah, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot. That's exactly what he told me, actually. So thank you.
Oh, we're gonna have to give your brother a cut of this, Jensen. No,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what I did, as y'all can see, I'm gonna do my own conversation on my own podcast.
There you go.
There you go.
Cat's Corner podcast. I love it.
Podcast, yes.
So how have things been, man? Like, I know you're really active around Atlanta with the karate and the training and everything you got. What you got going on right now for people who might not have been keeping up with you lately?
I just finished a movie. Well, 2 movies. I got one movie coming out, which is a sci-fi movie, and it got a bunch of wrestlers. Ray Glacier, if you remember him, Glacier, Stan, Mr. Tonga. And we got so many names, they just kind of slipped me right now because we all didn't work at the same time. But it's a bunch of us in this movie. So this movie is called The Unbreakable Bunch. And that's a good movie. And then I just finished a movie with Michael Jai White, a movie it's an action-packed movie. It's called Trouble Man. And that's going to be a pretty good movie as well. So looking forward to seeing those things out pretty soon.
Yeah, me too. And you mentioned Glacier, and of course I remember Glacier. He was actually my high school lacrosse coach at Lassiter High School briefly.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was there when the same time I was there at that high school. So I didn't play for the lacrosse team. I wrestled on the wrestling team with Steve Day, if you ever met him. But mentioning Glacier, I mean, one of my favorite memories as a kid, being a fan of WCW, was your debut and your alliance with Glacier against Wrath and Mortis. You're still friends with Glacier to this day.
Well, I'm friends with them all. Rest in peace, Mortis. But I'm still friends with most of the guys I was with back then.
Good to hear that you're keeping up with everybody. Glacier, huge. I'm a huge fan of Glacier, and yeah, I know Jensen. You always have memories of that. I wanted to ask. We're gonna kind of jump around a lot here, but I wanted to ask about the 2004 Royal Rumble and any memories from that match that you partook in.
Man, that Royal Rumble. You know, my days in WWE was kind of up and down. I really didn't want to go to WWE because I had made from wrestling. Okay, let me go back to my start. Before I started wrestling, I was a karate instructor. I was a world karate champion. I was making pretty good money teaching karate. I was having fun working with people in the karate world. But the thing was, I wasn't making that much money. So what did I wanted to do is I said, I wish I could make more money and I could continue to do this. But I had a 2-year-old son at the same time. So, I kind of wanted to kind of secure his future as well with something that was paying a little bit more. So when wrestling came along, it was a thing to where I was going to come out, WCW was going to be on my name, enough to where I could get a contract in Japan, and I would go spend 3 months out of the year over in Japan, then making more money. Then I was going to come back to the state here, Atlanta, not just states, but Atlanta, and teach karate. So when I was in WCW, I kind of grew real fast. I took off. So by the time Japan wanted me to come over there, of course, they wanted me to come and lose to one of the top wrestlers over there. And WCW, Eric Bischoff said, no, we don't want to send you over there to lose. Right now, you're doing really well, so we're going to keep you here. So anyway, through those 4 or 5 years that I was in WCW, I made a hell of a lot of money. I made enough money to where I just said, this is enough. I can leave wrestling now. But then when they decided to sell to WWE, I got paid another 3 years just to sit at home. But instead of sitting at home, I started by teaching karate and spending it with my kids. but I had 3 years of pay. So that was enough money for wrestling. Well, I said I can go back in and now I can teach karate and have money set aside for retirement and everything. But out of nowhere, Johnny Ace gave me a call. He said, "Hey man, you need to come up to WWE." He said, "Ernest," he said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's an opportunity up here for you. I think they'll like you up here." And I said, "Well, you know, I don't know if that's what I want to do." I said, "If they like me, they know who I am." And John Hayes said, "Well, Vince don't know who you are." I said, "Vince know who I am from WCW." So we talked for a couple of more times. Then they offered me a real kind of low ball. Wasn't a lot of money, not enough money to make me come there and be happy. It was just, like if I'm gonna tell you, about $220,000 a year. And I was making that in 1 month when I was in WCW. So I said, you know, that's bottom pay, but if you get pay-per-view, if you get this, if you get all the stuff I used to get in WCW, you hit this rating, you get a bump up. They give you a little bit more money. So I said, okay. So he talked me into it. I said, you know what? I'm going to go up there because I want to say that I worked in the 2 largest companies in wrestling. So I'm going to go up there anyway. And when I got up there, I recognized right offhand, no one treated me disrespectfully. Vince McMahon was really nice. I mean, he was like, I almost enjoyed working for him almost as much as I enjoyed working for Eric Bischoff. Because Vince's door was always open to me. We would sit down and have conversation. I used to fly on this plane with him to New York where we had to work in the morning. He was just a nice guy. I enjoyed working for him. But the way, I don't know if you guys remember, around 2004, the way they were bringing in all the WC guys like Goldberg, Dallas Page, Buck Bagwell, Scott Steiner, they were bringing in all these WCW guys and they were just killing them. Well, nobody really doing anything. Nobody did anything. So I said, you know what? I'm going to turn this around. So we had a dark match. And it was my first time in a dark match up there. And the thing was, it was me and I forgot who we were wrestling. But I was supposed to go to the ring and make the save on John Cena. John Cena was getting double teamed by 2 guys. I forgot who it was. He was getting beat by 2 guys. And the thing was, I was supposed to hit the ring. John Cena and I supposed to clear the ring and be back to back. Champ standing up. So we cleared the ring. The crowd went crazy when they heard my music. I hit it, slid in, boom, boom, bounced people around. And John Cena, when it was over, John Cena got the mic and he started doing this yo, 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 yo. When you do that little rap stuff, he started doing that little rap stuff, yo, 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 and the crowd was with it. But then John Cena reached the mic out to me. And before I even touched the mic, the crowd popped. They knew what they was about to get and they wanted. It was so loud. So when I reached and got the mic, I heard the crowd popping. So they were saying, cat, cat, cat. They were cheering for me. And we were taught one thing I did learn. If the crowd is heated like that with a loud crowd chanting your name, what you do is you just listen to that. You don't have to say anything. They already doing it. So I was just listening to it. Then they didn't know whoever was the referee came over and said, hey, cat, the backstage said, give the mic back to John Cena. I said, I didn't say anything yet. Give it back to John Cena. So I gave the mic back to John Cena. And at that time, they were working to get John Cena over. And when I left the ring, it was something that came over me that said, you know what? Why do they not want me to deliver? I can deliver. Why did they stop me from delivering? And I started to get this little urge and feeling that it was something a little bit more to these contracts than what I thought. So by the time jumping back to Royal Rumble, this was after I had stopped doing the commentary, the announcing, the color commentator. I had just stopped doing that. And then I was thinking, okay, I want to get back in the ring and try to wrestle. So this was like one of my first time back. They said, you're going to be in the Royal Rumble. You're going to be like 15 or 16 man, something like that. You're going to be 15 out. So, man, they hit my music. I hit the stage. Boom. Once again, the crowd popped. Huge. Royal Rumble, one of the biggest pay-per-views around. That Royal Rumble was beautiful, man. I mean, the crowd, when my music hit, the whole thing down, they popped. When I got in the ring, started dancing, kicking people out, they popped. The crowd was going crazy. Pop mean the crowd just react to you. They went crazy. And the music was loud, man. The people were cheering me. If you go back and look at it, the crowd were all into it. Even to the last moment when they got up and threw me out. The crowd popped huge. So I felt like the job was done. And I'm going to tell you this. As soon as I walked back through the curtains, past Gorilla. Gorilla is do you guys know Gorilla?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is everyone's going to know all the inside terms that you use.
Yeah. So I went past Gorilla and Vince McMahon was there. He shook his head. Shook his head. Said it was good. Like that, because he was on the headphone. Then when I walked out, Chris Canyon approached me, who was up there. And Chris Canyon said, hey, I just want you to know this, cat. He said, the whole time you was in the ring, Vince McMahon was popping. He was just laughing. The whole time you was in the ring, he popped huge. So, okay, that's the big show. Royal Rumble. I thought I had proved a little something. Then Monday night was that kind of carryover from that. And they didn't even have me on the show. So I used to call him the angry man because he looked like he was always angry. Hugh Morris. You remember Hugh Morris?
Of course. Yeah.
Hugh Morris walked down. He's like, I don't know what the hell these people are doing around. He was angry at something. I don't know what the hell these guys are doing around here. Well, why do they not have you on this show? You got the biggest pop yesterday on Royal Rumble, and they don't have you on the show. So I was like, I don't know. He said, bro, if they want to get you over, they can get anybody over they want. Hell, they got a sock over. I said, yeah, you're right. He said, they're not doing anything with us. They just brought us in because it probably were part of the contract. You guys, we'll sell WCW to you guys for a crazy low amount of money. And the only thing you guys have to do is at least give everybody an opportunity that's under contract right now. And they probably said, yeah. So I think they was a little obligated to give us that moment in the sun and that opportunity to say it's an opportunity. But if you guys remember, during that time, any other WCW guys came over at that time, after the merger, after they purchased WCW, nobody did well. Now people say, what about Chris Jericho and Chavo and Eddie Guerrero? No, if you remember, they left before that merger.
Yeah. The only one after that, Booker T would really be the only one that I think after the merger you could say like.
Booker T left early. They wanted Booker T. Booker T contract was up, so Booker T left to go up there. So Booker T was not at that time, but he was in that process right before that time. They wanted Booker T the whole time.
Understood. Gotcha. Well, but you're right. I mean, because I grew up a huge WCW fan being from Atlanta. So I was bummed out seeing you guys, like all my favorite wrestlers. Like I wanted to see you guys in the WWE and wanted to see you guys against the best WWE wrestlers. And yeah, it was as a fan, it was disappointing just for what it's worth. Because I was a huge WCW fan.
Hey, bro, listen, WCW for me was great. WWE was great, man. WWE, it was like WCW was like a division 2 for me. Because I had everybody around me that I needed. I had the head of the board with Eric Bischoff, who was a friend. I can always talk to him. He would always, give me the good jobs and tell me what I need to do and encourage me. Then I had people like Disco Inferno, Alex Wright, Hogan, Macho Man. I had all this talent around me. All I had to do is say when I got ready for my match, all I do is say, okay, what should I do at this time? What should I say? And they will always give me feedback. But when I went up to WWE, they're just like going to hard. Yeah, so when I went to WWF, man, WWE, it was like going to Yale University or going to the higher end where you on your own. You know, it's like those guys was like professionals. So their spot meant something to them. You know what I'm saying? Their spot meant something. I'm not gonna help you to come to that next spot when I may be in that next spot. You know, so it's something you had to get on your own. So see me, that was a part of wrestling. Now think about this. This is what people say about me in the locker room. For me that never have ever been in the wrestling business, for me never wanted to be a wrestler. I came into the business and in 5 years, I did something that a lot of people haven't done in about 15 years. I went to the top. I was in the top level of wrestling and I got over. For just 5 years, think about it. No, I didn't do the indie circuit. Everything I learned, I was in the power plant for all but 30 days. Because what happened, I wasn't supposed to be a part of the Glacier and that kind of, you know, that group. I was not supposed to be a part of that. But what happened was going to be Glacier versus these two guys and somebody else. Glacier broke his ankle doing something, and they needed somebody in there who can do karate. So they said, Cat, can you just go and just, you know, lift them up and be the karate guy for them in that gimmick? So I said, yes. So I stepped in. And it did, you know, they still say my debut, one of the best debuts ever. You know, coming over the rope, kicking people, and with the energy. I mean, the crowd went crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, you asked me if I remember Glacier. I mean, I have props here, Ernest. Like, I have a Glacier mask here, right here, signed by Glacier himself. Like, I very much remember all of this very fondly. And was your introduction to WCW and your relationship with Eric Bischoff like actually through you training the family in karate?
Well, yes. I did not know who Eric Bischoff was. I didn't even know Eric Bischoff's name. His son was a 12-year-old kid that was in my karate class that I'm very fond of. He was such a great kid, and we just worked out together all the time. His wife was the one bringing them in, because I guess Eric was traveling. His wife was bringing them in, and this kid's a great kid. We're still friends today. You know, he's 30-something, maybe almost 40, but we're still great friends.
That's Garrett Bischoff, correct?
Garrett Bischoff, yes.
Yeah. Did you help train him when he went into TNA?
Who, me?
Yeah. Like, did you have any help with his wrestling training at all? Because he wrestled there briefly.
I didn't at all, man. I didn't help him. Once he got into wrestling, I had stepped away from it.
Okay. Gotcha.
I want to go back to the Super Brawl 2000. James Brown. The appearance of James Brown. I don't know how this came together, but so I want to ask you, how did this come together? When did you find out that James Brown was going to be there?
Bro, do you even know who James Brown is?
I know who James Brown is.
You sure?
Yes.
Who is James Brown?
James Brown, a very famous singer, entertainer.
So was Elvis. So was Johnny Cash. So was little Edward. It's a bunch of them. Do you know, name one of James Brown's songs? I'll give you $1,000. You got 5 seconds. 1, 2.
He's the godfather
3,
of soul.
4, 5. Now, see, there you go. No, I said name on this record. God don't. But no, man, working with James Brown was a highlight of my life. I mean, it's something. I grew up. When I was a kid, I knew everything about this man. I knew how he danced. I knew where he was from. I knew when he was coming on TV. I just knew everything about it. And then when it kind of worked its way out, man. Hey, listen, bro. I got video of me doing something I always wanted to do, and that dance like James Brown and I did it with James Brown. So it was fantastic, man. Great.
I don't know if you have a follow-up to that, Jeremy, but yes.
Oh, man, he put me on the spot. I feel bad that I did blank on
Well,
it.
It's okay, Jeremy. It's okay. You a young guy. You don't look like you listen to a lot of soul music.
I don't listen to it a lot, but look, I watched WCW in my time. I know that you were doing basically the James Brown. You were talking about James Brown a lot, and getting James Brown. This is what I give WCW a lot of credit for. When they got like Rodman to come in, Karl Malone right off the NBA Finals, and then getting a James Brown appearance I know how big it was.
Bro, that's a part of wrestling that'll never be duplicated again in its history. People don't realize WCW is not around anymore. James Brown is not around anymore. And that's a moment, if that was in WWF or WWE, it'll be one of their highlights moments. It'll be one of the biggest highlight moments around, having James Brown come to the ring. It'll be almost there was just like they had Muhammad Ali come to the ring.
I want to jump around a little bit more recent as well right now, Kat, because you probably don't even know this, but so I was live at Championship District Wrestling, CDW, in Atlanta, Georgia. You competed in a handicap match. It was you, Diamond Sheik, and Ben Bishop against the Infantry, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. I was actually on commentary for that match, and he gave me a big high five right there live, and it was awesome. And you put on a great show. How was your experience at Championship District Wrestling?
Man, you know what? That's, to me, that is, I don't even know if it's, now this is the thing about it, about today's wrestling. I haven't wrestled on TV in so long, that I just did that as a favor to those guys because I trained with a lot of those guys. But there was people there who really didn't know anything about wrestling and didn't know a lot about me. After the match, some of these people came up to me and said the same thing. Man, you look like you just such a more high caliber of talent than the guys that were. And I'm not trying to put myself over. It was just, they said, you know how to sell stuff. You know how to make things look real. No, it's just the charisma that we have that you need as a wrestler that a lot of these guys don't have anymore. Everybody now want to walk around, and I see this all the time. They want to have the biggest muscles. They want to be Lex Luger. They want to be the meanest guy around. They want everybody to fear them just the way they look. They come to the ring, chewing gum, walking like they 6 feet tall and they're only 5'8". That's not charisma. Charisma is being able to do anything you do in the ring, make people watch you. And when they watch you, they can follow along, and now they know the story you're trying to tell. And they know the people who you telling this story with and through. That's what we was as a wrestler in no time. Now, that championship, you saw me. You saw how the crowd was in everything I did. And a lot of them didn't know me. A lot of them were just there. They didn't know who I was, but they was fully entertained just by the little stuff that I did in the ring. And you could tell by the crowd.
Yeah, I was going crazy. I was having a great time. The crowd was having a great time.
Now, Jeremy, I want you to forgive me now. I didn't mean to attack you like that.
No, you're fine.
But every now and then I look over at you and you look like a young, what was the guy named with Mortis and Ralph?
Oh, James Vanderbeek.
Yeah, you look a lot like Vanderberg. You look a lot like Vanderberg.
I'll take that. He was just doing cocaine on an NWA
He was.
Well, no, he was not. Well, I didn't say you look like him doing cocaine.
No, but did you see that, Ernest? Recently,
no,
they did a spot on an NWA show where he was seen at a table doing cocaine and licking it up with fingers and everything right there on the screen. So,
and see, what kind of image is that for any wrestler
Oh, it wasn't good because they
No.
have lost from the television deal.
Yeah, NWA, it was not good for them. Yeah.
And they let that go through?
It was on a pay-per-view of theirs.
Yeah, it was on
as
a
matter of
pay-per-view.
fact. PLE on Fight Plus. It was on a Fight TV, I believe. Yeah.
Wow. I don't watch a lot of wrestling today. I got a lot of young friends who are into wrestling, but I don't really watch a lot of wrestling today,
Well, you weren't missing much with that pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
that was some okay stuff, but yeah, that one might have cost them a television deal airing that. So
now I wonder how shows like NWA, I wonder how those guys can really sustain their time out there like that without having a TV contract. Are they making any money? Are fans with them, or it's just the community, the wrestling world universe?
Pumpkins money. That's
is that it?
Yeah.
He owns it, so he's still But speaking of, there's kind of a link there almost. The theme songs, you know where I'm going with this, Jeremy? Ernest Miller, your original theme song was later used for for Tyrus, who was the NWA champion up until recently. Actually, do you still ever hear people like singing that song to you or anything? Did somebody call my mama?
Bro, listen, Mark Henry and I were talking on my podcast yesterday. He said Ernest probably the only one that came in that people recognized him by something he created. Somebody called my mama. And it was so good for me that they tried to give it to somebody else that it didn't work for, because it was natural with me.
Well, they definitely gave it to somebody else, and they tried to, force that on.
Did it work?
No,
Did it work?
Not like you.
No, I think people still associate it with you. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, remember the Cat had that first, and then they gave it to Brodus Clay.
I got phone calls and everything. Even guys backstage when that happened. One guy called me. He said, "Hey man, they trying to steal your shit." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, look at it on TV." So I caught the end of the match when it was coming out. And the girls came in there. I said, "So what? That's good. It's good to see that you can impact something that you're involved in." Because I came up with all of that. No one. A writer didn't write that for me and say, "Here, this is Call My Mom" is your little cliche, your dancing move, this is all. No, nobody gave it to me. I came up with that myself as I started to grow as a character. Now to see that it was just that good that you got this billion-dollar company reusing it for somebody else on their TV.
Yeah, they just handed it right over, which was very unfortunate. I want to ask about. I know we have limited time. I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to ask about your commissioner stint in WCW, and I always loved the backstage stuff with the Young Dragons, Kaz Hayashi, and who turned out to be Jimmy Wang Yang. Those guys. What was it like working with them?
Fine. My whole wrestling experience with WCW was nothing but fun. It was all fun. And it showed in me, because really I'm a quiet guy. I don't do a lot of talking. I go in, I teach karate and have fun with my class. I don't do a lot of talking. But at this time, man, I'm telling you, that time I was having so much fun. It just showed through me on TV when I came out did anything. Because I was working not just to impact the crowd, but impact the boys in the back who sit back there and watch everything on the monitor and making them laugh. So I had some fans back in the back, like Macho Man. Macho Man was one of the ones who were telling them, we need to push the Cat. Hogan wanted to lose the championship belt to me. He suggested to the booking crew that he should lose the belt to me and chase me to get it back, because I was over there. They struck it down because I think that was at the time when Hogan was getting ready to leave. So I mean, it was over. It was fun, man. Fun, great time.
Yeah, I'm a huge Macho Man fan. That's a huge endorsement as well. Like to have Macho Man pulling for you. My brother may have mentioned this. My brother doesn't know much about wrestling, but he hears certain names and he like puts it together. Are you still friends with Sonny Ono?
Man, I speak to Sonny Ono about damn near every day.
Yeah,
this is the good part. Most of those guys, we're still good friends. And this is where wrestling, where it's like, have you ever done something and you don't know the impact of what you just finished doing until you see it later and it come back to you and you were like, damn, I didn't know I impact that like that as much as I did. I did not make that impact.
Sure.
And that's what wrestling is to me. I have done with wrestling, because when I went to, let's just say, I don't go to a lot of wrestling shows. You're not gonna see me back in the back at WWE or back in the back at AEW walking around talking to people. But recently I did. I went to WrestleMania in California. And I went to WrestleCon, which is a totally different event. They bring you in, sign autograph, talk to people, boom, talk to people, say hello. So after the show, I went back to my room. I'm laying in the bed, talking with my wife. Then I get a call from Sonny Ono, and he's on the phone video telling me, hey, come next door. I said, what? Hotel next door. I said, why? He said, look who's here. He showed me Shane Helms and some of the Young Dragon guys. They was over there. He said, come over here, Jamie Nobles and those guys. He said, come over here, everybody over here. So I talked about that. I said, it really wasn't next door. It was down the street. So I got in the Uber. So as I drove up to the hotel, you see a bunch of fans outside, which I used to see all the time, but I forgot they had that crowd like that. And you saw a bunch of security guards out front door in the front lobby. So when you drive up, what'll happen when you drive up, if you didn't have a key or you didn't have a room there, they wouldn't let you in. So when I drove up, I told it, I got out the car and I saw all the people looking. And then soon I got in the car, one of the security came up to me and said, you got a key? Then the crowd saw me and they started going crazy. Cat. They started calling my name, Cat. Hey, Cat, how you doing, Cat? They started yelling out my name. Then one of the security guards said, no, that's Ernest The Cat Miller. He's good. So I went into the lobby of the hotel. And I sat down with Sonny Ono in this lobby of the hotel, bro. And I'm telling you this right now. I never felt so proud of any kind of accomplishment that I've done or had in my life than I felt that moment in that wrestling circuit. And not circuit, but the circle. Because you can't just look at it and say, maybe at the next show, they won't treat me like that. But at that world, at that moment right there, the people I was surrounded with treated me like I was a legend. I mean, you saw people from the big African guy. He looked over. Yes, he looked over and saw me and came over. Cat, can I take a picture with you? Yes. And then I was seeing all kinds of people. And it was kind of funny. Hold on. You see, I'm drinking tea. That's what happens when you get old, boy. You gotta drink hot tea.
I drink hot tea now, and you're calling me young. I appreciate that. I feel old some days.
So, man, listen. Just some of the wrestlers I seen today. I mean, they all were coming up to me. Man, I'm a big fan of yours, and I used to watch you all the time. You know, all the boys came around me. It just made me feel loved, and appreciated.
I know, like Shane Helms and Jamie Noble are doing producing for WWE today, and I mean their time in WCW was such a big impact for everything that they learned then bringing it over to what they're kind of teaching people today. Shane Helms is, I think, one of the top producers.
Name some of the people who was in that group, the Young Dragons.
I told you Kaz Hayashi and Jimmy Yang. It was Yang.
And then it was Jamie Noble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the three of them.
Now, the way we came up with that, at that time of doing business in WCW, I think Vince Russo was there. And I had a lot of control because I was over. I was over. And I was able to call my own thing. They wanted me on TV almost every segment. So I heard that they were saying, I heard them talking in a meeting. They said, listen, some of you guys just want to inform you guys. This Vince Russo talking. One of the guys in the office say, if you don't have anything going on right now, they're going to start releasing people. They're going to start firing people. So I looked around and I knew I was going to be on every segment. I was commissioner and doing all this stuff. So if you remember at that time, I was working with everybody from Hogan to everybody, so I was kind of going to be on every segment. So, and they gave me freedom to write and put together my own thing. But at that time, I started thinking about these young guys that needed an opportunity, and I just didn't want to see them fired. So we sat down, and I came up with the thing. I said, listen, I'm a karate guy, right? I said, why don't we make this even fun? Like, I don't know if you guys ever watched this show called Pink Panther. Mm-hmm. The Pink Panther was always this detective who knew karate. I always acted like he was going to hurt somebody doing karate. So I said, listen, let's come up with this. This is what I want to do. I want to use those three guys. They're going to be asking me for matches, and I'm going to be turning them down, but I'm going to give them another job. They're going to be my little karate cronies. They're going to follow me around and attack me and let me practice my karate. Yeah, so the Young Dragon were going to be my karate crony. I said, I need those guys, and what they're going to do, and we're going to make it interesting. That's how you're going to make it interesting. I said, they're going to be like my karate students. So they're going to follow me around. Anytime I look like I'm not paying attention, they're going to jump out at me and make me kick and do all my karate stuff. They said, how's that going to work, though? I said, I don't know. I figured it out. So we started using this imaginary music first. Like I can be sitting in my office and I hear some music playing. Then I look around. I'm like, where's the music coming from? There's no radio, no speaker. Where's it coming from? And then you look behind a light post or something like that, and you see these three guys trying to hide behind something. And they really not hiding, but you see them looking at me. That was the gimmick I came up with for them, just so they could make it through that moment, just to stay around to keep their jobs. And then, as you know, they went on to have good individual careers. And I'm not saying I saved their career because they was already talented, but I did help them with that just to get over that spot.
One of my favorite ones was you were like getting out of the limo, the car, and they were just like there. They just appeared, and you're like, "Where did y'all even come from? Like, what is going on here?"
Yeah. Hey man, listen, Jamie and I and Shane and others. Listen, everybody at that time that was in WCW, we still pretty good friends. We all, even Mike Sanders. Y'all know, you remember?
Of course, above average. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mike Sanders, good voice. He was a good speaker. Mike will even do well today in the business if he was there doing something, because he was always just well spoken. Words just flow off his tongue. He could tell lies and you never even know it's a lie. So he would do pretty good in this day world, because the guys today, all they can do is talk. They don't scare me. Do they scare you guys?
Well, I mean, I'm not a trained 3-time world karate champion or a professional wrestler, so all these guys intimidate me a little bit. But from what I've heard, Ernest, and this is kind of the last thing I've got for you. I know you're around town, you're all over the place, and you train a lot of people, but I hear you still very much have it yourself. I've heard that if you go into the gym and you want to try Ernest the Cat Miller, like, bad idea. Can you just let people know kind of like how important it is for you to like stay in kind of the karate shape that you're still in to this day, and then also how important it is to pass that along to like the next generation?
You know, with me, I never stopped doing karate. Even when I was young, karate wasn't just something for me to do, man. It was like an elevation. It was something that elevated me out of the condition, out of the place I was in. And you know, when you at that age, when I was at the age 9 to 10, that was it was like you in between. You know, you're not a teenager. And you know, people have, sometimes they said, that is the age where you have psychological problems and issue can occur because you trying to find your identity. So karate, I started karate at that age, and it really kind of elevated me into who I wanted to be, a martial artist karate. So that means I didn't just take one style. Once I finished with that style, I was like, well, I'll go do it again. I'm 60 now, and I've been doing it like 50 years. And I don't remember one whole week without going to a karate class in my whole life. And I'll tell everybody, I said, what made me different from when I was 35? I could beat you up a mile away. I can start talking to you. I can run up on you and kick you. I can beat you up in the whole room. But now you lose a little speed. You lose a little strength. But you gain knowledge and you gain weapons. And I've taken now, I got 6 black belts, and I'm working on a Japanese style Oyama, which your brother see me in the class sometime. And it's one of the hardest style you ever wanted to take. It's the hardest style I've ever taken. But it taught me how not to have weapons, but to be a weapon. Now I can beat you up in a telephone booth.
Yes.
I don't need the distance. I can take somebody around. I can take somebody and do whatever I want to do with them from a distance, mid-range, or in a telephone booth.
Okay, well, I'm going to
think about it. I'm a weapon. If you don't believe me, I'm around the school in Santa Spring every Sunday. Whoever don't believe me, whoever watching this right here, come and try me. I got open doors.
Man, I heard the people at American Top Team are afraid of you, man.
Oh my goodness! So this is they're not afraid of me, but I went down to spar with them about maybe a couple of weeks ago, and let's just say about 20 guys in there, and on my way out the locker room, somebody who knew me from days gone past said before I even hit the mat, I heard him talking to another guy in the locker room. He said, those guys don't know what they're in for once he get out there. And this was him not knowing what I could do or what I could still do. But once I got on that mat, man, I went about 20 rounds. If you want to hit hard, we hit hard. If you want to kick fast, we kick fast. If you want to take me down, they got took down. If you want to try to choke me out, they got choked out. This is what I told my friend. They said, you too old to be doing that. And I said, these are guys who've been in the business 1 year and 6 years. Two young guys, about 20 to 30 guys. I did 3 minutes with every fighter. And I told my friend who told me I shouldn't do that because of my age, I said, listen, I've been doing martial arts for over 50 years. If I can't go and neutralize a whole school, I'll waste my time. In the dojo, if I can't neutralize that whole school, well, I said neutralize, take what they have and make it useless. Don't take it from them. I'm not going to take it from them. I'm going to take what they have, figure out what they're trying to do with it, then I'm going to make it useless. That's neutralizing for me. In matter of fact, I think I'm going to start doing that every weekend or every school I find. I'm going to mark my calendar and I'm going to go every weekend to a school and neutralize it.
Okay.
All right, this needs to be a series.
I'm gonna document this because the cat is not exaggerating. By the way, the reason I brought up American Top Team is because I've heard this story. I heard that you went and you did this. Like I heard that my brother's exact words. He called me. I think he saw it. He's like, dude, the cat just took out the whole school. He wiped the mat. He took everyone. And I was
I was talking to people when they came up. They didn't know who I was. They thought just this old guy there. I said, "How long you been doing it?" "Oh, 4 years." With a little, well, the one first year, I've been doing about a year. I said, "Oh, okay." So we started working. Boy, I let him see what he wanted to do. I'm not gonna tell them not to hit me hard, not to kick fast, not to move. Let's just move around. I don't say anything. Only thing I ask is, how long have you been doing it? If they said we've been doing it 1 year, that just give me a gauge on to keep them safe without doing something that's going to hurt them. I can kind of tell what they should know and what they might know. One guy came on and said he was a jiu-jitsu guy. And he said, so we a kick. I said, how long you been doing? He said, 6 years. So this guy decided he would go kick, punch, and grab and take down. So he kick, punch, grab, and try to take me down, and I stepped out of it. Then I showed him how to do it. I kick, punch, and threw the most bad. I haven't thrown the sweep like this in so long. His back hit the ground, and came up and hit my hands. He went down so fast, the back, and the only thing he did when I helped him up, he smiled. He was like, I knew you were going to try to get me back. I said, no, see, you're wrong. I didn't try to get you back. I got you back. So today, there is where my fun is at. My fun is in the world of combat and martial arts, teaching, showing off, not trying to fight, not trying to get in the ring and fight anyone. You know, I'm not doing that. But with this style that I'm taking, it's a Oyama style. This is the name of it. It's born in Japan. And it's been around for years. And one of the Shihans is 87 years old, one of the guys that started this style. And the only thing, I'm a brown belt now. So to get my black belt, I got to go to Japan. And I got to do 100-man kumite. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Was it like a gauntlet kind of where you fight each guy? Like it's like a secret gathering almost? Yeah, sorry.
So that is what I need. That's where I'm going. I'm going to do that. That's part of the test. I got to go to Japan and fight them. And I'm taking Sonny Ono with me. And then while I'm over there, they want me to fight in this tournament called All Japan Tournament. And I'll fight someone my age, they said. But see, 40 and up, from 40 years old to my age of 70, I'm the LeBron James of karate. There's nobody can beat me over 40. I don't give a damn who they are. They could be champion back in the day. And with 6 black belts and 6 styles, I can fight people. I can fight anybody any kind of way. I don't have to go. So I need to learn this style, learn this. Remember, I've been practicing for years.
Yes.
So I've been practicing knowing different styles. And now I'm not afraid to kind of get in with anybody, because what I'm going to see is I'm going to understand something that they're trying to do. See, the thing about martial arts and combat fighting, people lose focus on what they want to do because they're so focused on trying to stay out of what these guys are trying to do to them. You know, you see jiu-jitsu on the floor. They pulling at your back while you looking at them. You trying to get out of what they're doing, but what you ain't thinking about is, now what can I do to him? Me, I figured out, but it take me about maybe 20 seconds. So sometimes I can look at people's eyes. If they look at my legs and they think I'm gonna kick, they must be a kicker. If they looking at my hands and they moving away from my hand, they must be a puncher, because they know how to defend it. So I got it across the board. I wish I had you two guys right here in this room with me right now. I would beat the hell out of you guys.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. And this is some of the greatest stuff I've heard in my life, by the way, Ernest.
I would beat the hell out of you guys, man. But I won't hurt you. I won't hurt you because I like you two guys.
Here's I was gonna say, here's the good news, Ernest. This is my last thing that I had for you before we start wrapping up here. You know, I'm local, and I would love. One of my New Year's resolutions would be I got to come in and get a session from you. You got to teach me some karate here in Atlanta.
Bro, listen. I like your brother. He's one of the nicest young men I've ever met. Respectful, quiet, kind of like. I really appreciate this guy, knowing this guy. And we don't do nothing but say hello to each other and talk a little about fight. But he's such a nice young fellow, man. It's just hard. It's just so, you don't meet good people all the time now. Most of the time when you meet people, they want something from you. Don't nobody come looking for you just to give you something. You got givers and takers. And every now and then I can recognize a giver. I think your brother is a giver.
Yeah. He'll really appreciate hearing that, by the way. That's really kind of you to say that. And I really appreciate you for joining us. Like, you know, I know you said you don't do a lot of these kind of interviews, and, you know, we're lifelong fans.
You know I don't. You saw my camera kept ringing, people calling me, and yeah, so, you know, I don't do a lot of these, but I enjoy this, man.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
But you know what I want to have? I want you guys to help put out the word right here.
Yes.
The Cat's Corner podcast. And on this podcast, man, we'd already shot like about 12 to 14 episodes. We got Goldberg, Mark Henry. We got Usher Raymond, one of my black belt.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Usher, one of my black. I got a lot of Emmanuel Lewis. You remember Emmanuel?
Yeah, of course.
Usher?
Yeah.
We got him. We got doctors. We got Crowbar. I just got Crowbar. Y'all don't remember?
Nice.
Crowbar.
Of course, I remember Crowbar. Absolutely.
He's still wrestling.
Yeah.
We even got one of the guys I wanted to get so bad, just have a conversation with him. We got Sarge. Sarge used to run the power.
Buddy Lee Parker. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got him. We got to hear his story and what he's been up to, man. You know, who did he not like in the power plant? You know, what happened with him after the days of WCW. So I got a lot of stuff. And what I decided to do, I decided to take them first and then just put them away. And we're going to start putting them out in January. But the one with Goldberg, interesting. I even got a shout out with Triple H on him for about maybe 5 minutes talking about it. You know, so I just got some of my friends on here, you know, and it's going to be pretty good when it come out. And one thing you're going to see, I'm not going to have wrestlers to come on here and talk to me and tell us anything. I'm calling them on it. You know, when they said this didn't happen to them and I know it happened, I'm going to say, brother, that's not true. If you're going to be on my podcast, Cat's Corner, you got to tell the fans the truth. So that's what I'm looking forward to coming out and doing this, man. And anything you guys need that I can do for you, just hit me up.
Well, send me everything when it starts. I'm the news person on the team. I basically sit around all day and listen to nothing but podcasts. So when it drops, I'm sure I'll be listening to every episode that comes out and doing my best to, you know, get these stories out there, and that's largely what I do for my entire day. So I appreciate you joining us. And yeah, send me anything, shoot me a DM with anything, and
shoot me your phone, shoot me your number so I have it, because I think I got. Yeah, give me the information. Now, let me ask you guys this: how did you guys get started?
So this is for Fightful.com. Like the site itself has been around for what, like 8 years, 7 years now, or something like that. 2016. Yeah. So, but I got started doing like my own wrestling podcast. Jeremy is the lead writer here for the website. I don't want to speak for Jeremy too much, but I've been doing it for a handful of years. But I started here with Fightful about 5 years ago. I mainly cover independent wrestling, but I also talk, you know, WWE, AEW, that kind of stuff too. So
what do you think about the independent wrestling circuit now? What do you think about it? Who is the top one out there? What top group out there?
Oh, the top group is Game Changer Wrestling, GCW, I would say.
The one that started at 12 o'clock?
It's usually late. Yeah, when they run the
Some of
West
them,
Coast
yeah.
shows, they run. Yeah, they'll start at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
sometimes. I'd say I'd probably put them over as the top indie promotion.
They talked me into doing that show last year, and I wrestled.
You wrestled Janela on one of their shows.
Yeah,
Joey
And that
Janela.
was and he talked me into it. You know, he was like, "Cat, you one of my heroes, man, legend. Please just come and wrestle with me." And I'm still in pretty damn good shape. I still run, jump, and do everything. So I get in the ring with this guy, and he wanted to call all this stuff. I said, "We don't need to call anything. Just get out there and have fun." He said, "Okay." So I gave him one spot. It was a spot where he was gonna kick my knees, and I was gonna go down to the ground. Then I was gonna lift me up, and then he was gonna kick me across my chest. So everybody know if you kick up, then you kick across the chest. Then the kick up will make you stand up straight. Then the kick come from the side. So keep everybody safe. Man, let me tell you something. This guy kicked me in my chest so hard, I saw stars. I got up off that ring, man, and beat the dog shit out that kid. I hit him with chops and kicks. But he understood, like, I woke the cat up. So after the match, he said, I had a great match with the cat, man. The cat didn't know Joey, but Joey finally woke the cat up. So it was a good time, man. I like that. But you know what I don't like about the business too much?
What's that?
You get guys like this, though, man, that don't know about it. They can't pay nobody no career to go and wrestle for them. You can't take care of nobody with the money they pay. Why do they all act like they're WWE or AEW and they're Vince McMahon or Tony Khan?
That is, I know a lot of independent wrestlers still have to work a second job because the money isn't always there, just traveling every single weekend. Some do well. Janelle is actually one who does very well just wrestling independently for full time.
There's guys like Matt Cardona, of course. Some guys who might have like the clout from being on television previously, they can, still all the merchandise. That was actually something I wanted to ask you about that I know we're already run long on time for you, but if you don't mind,
no, it's okay. It's all right.
Like there is a lack of your merchant. Like you don't have figures. You don't have you need to have like the Mattel Legends figure. You need to have like an AEW Luminary figure. Like, why don't you have more merchandise that's available?
You know why? Because WCW, when I started coming near the top like that, rising up, and everybody wanted my Call My Mama shirts. Everybody wanted my karate stuff. Everybody wanted my James Brown stuff. But the thing was, WCW was in such a way that they wasn't no more concentration on building the brand of WCW. You know what I mean? It was not focused on let's build this brand by putting out this merchandise. Let's do this. Right then, by the time I got to the top, it was more like, WCW may not be around in a long time. So why put out merchandise? And then when I got to I get calls, with people wanting to do stuff with me. But you know what, man? I ain't going to sign this stuff and have people making stuff of merchandise for me. And I have no control of what they do and how much they doing it and if I like it or not,
Yeah, that's understandable. I was curious about that because I know like Glacier's got like a micro brawler and like they're making some like newer figures for some of these guys. I don't know if like maybe you'd been approached because I would love to get like a modern day Ernest the Cat Miller figure that I could like bring to you and get signed at a show or like a WrestleCon or something like that. It'd be really cool to be able to have something that like fans could bring to you.
Are you guys going to WrestleCon this year? Indeed, I think it's in Philly.
Mania's in Philly. Yeah.
So it's always around there. You guys going there next year?
I won't be there. I don't know about Jeremy though. I don't know.
It's iffy. It's iffy.
So Jeremy, what platform do you write for now?
Oh, also Fightful. It's all under Fightful, and I'm the lead news writer. So again, I spend most of my days listening to podcasts, listening to interviews, and then writing about the interviews or just whatever news is out there. But also doing my own interviews and things like that.
So what kind of interviews making the go rounds out there? Really making some headlines out there now.
One today I listened to Mike Rotunda, Bray Wyatt's father, and he was reflecting on the loss of Bray, and he said that WWE put Bray on a Legends deal. That was something that I listened to today, and that did a big write up on that. So that was a big article today. It's a lot of people who are still in the business, like if Becky Lynch says something.
I have a really good one that's relevant that Ernest might have an opinion on, actually. So there was a big one that you actually wrote on yesterday. There's a story that came out about The Undertaker. He talked about how CM Punk claimed that he could tap out Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin and like make them tap out to his jiu-jitsu. And apparently it didn't go very well for him. He got pinned in like 40 seconds. Like, what do you feel about a story like that? Like, being a martial artist yourself.
I could look at someone and tell whether or not they could fight. When I looked at CM Punk fight, his real fight, I got 12-year-old kids who would knock CM Punk out.
Yeah.
Jeremy, make sure you write that right there.
Oh,
make sure you write that.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the worst fighter for any kind. He might be good for wrestling. He may be good for wrestling, but hell, I don't understand this business anymore. And write this, Jeremy. I don't understand how a guy can expose himself to being such a sorry fighter, and then all the company bring him back to talk bad like he can beat everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that just made Jensen's day.
Back in the day when we were wrestling, if a wrestler went in and did a tough man or did a karate show, how can they come back listen, let me tell you, I got video footage of me knocking guys out. Yes. That's the video that they use to say, hey, this guy right here is a real legit fighter. Right? So I was able to do that. Can you imagine if I went and got my ass beat by the worst guy in the UFC or the worst guy out there? Man, let me tell you something. I would never be on TV again back in those days. How in the world does this guy get exposed to being a terrible fighter? And he was. There's nothing about him that says he could fight.
I agree. I completely agree. No, I saw the entire UFC run. Like, a lot of people hate me because I say what you're saying, but I don't have the legitimate background that you have. So I like that you're saying this because you are credible and know what you're talking about, and you're saying what I've been saying. So thank you.
And what I'm saying about Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, they got a history of wrestling, right? So that's something they can do. They not standing up saying, I don't have a history of nothing, but I can fight. You got to have a platform, a foundation first before you can even set out. Like, if I can't beat you standing up, I'm a wrestler or I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt, I can beat you on the ground. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That right there sounds reasonable. But somebody like CM Punk, I didn't see not one thing that he did that could even substantiate saying anything about what he can do as combat for. He can't throw hands. He had no hands, no punching, no power. He didn't have any movement to show that maybe he was a boxer. He went out and I don't know what the hell he was trying to do. He didn't even look like he tried to wrestle. But yet and still, this guy's on TV making millions of dollars talking because the fans today are stupid. The fans want to believe what they want to believe. You can show somebody something. And if they see it, now they got to determine whether or not they're going to believe it can be or it can't be. And that's what I'm saying. And you just showed them. I just showed you somebody who can't fight.
Yeah.
But now you take him back and put him in a ring and think he can beat up everybody. He can wrestle 6, but that's wrestling. That's just what wrestling is about.
Right. Yeah, that was I got nothing to follow that up with. That way you just vilified so many things that I've been saying that people said I was crazy about saying. Like, I like hearing that someone of your caliber has said this as well. I appreciate that. Man,
listen, I mean, that's the truth. I met the guy about once or twice, you know, but I'm gonna use an example. And he'll tell you this. I got footage, video. Goldberg practiced when he left WCW and WCW. He practiced with some of the legends of UFC. He used to go in there and practice and spar with all these guys. And he'll talk about it. You go back on his page, he talk about UFC guys. He talk about all these top fighters. He would go in, and of course, they would invite him in and work with him. And he was showing all these videos. So one day, when they was in San Diego, Goldberg invited me up. And Goldberg and I had worked out before. I kind of took it easy on him. So Goldberg invited us up. I went up there. He had two of his guys up there out of his Muay Thai school. So he set up the camera. I'm watching this whole thing. He set up the camera, got the camera ready. He got in the ring. I moved around with the first 2 guys. And then Goldberg got in the ring and they turned the camera on. I don't know what Goldberg was expecting, but nobody ever seen the video. And you know why? Because it wasn't what he think he was going to get on the video. It wasn't what he could think. Matter of fact, one of his guys was saying, man, I've never seen anybody move Goldberg like that. So what you mean? He said, turn his back to the rope, turn him away from the rope. I said, it's not about power. It's about swiftness and movement. Make him think you're going one way, then go the other way. So I was able to turn it. If he pushed me back up against the rope, boom, boom, I was able to turn it. People don't understand. I chose pro wrestling over fighting. UFC was where I was supposed to be. Dana White, Eric Bischoff, and I sat down, and they said, we want you right here. They brought in Don Fry, Morocco, somebody. I forgot the guy's name, last name Morocco, one of the UFC guys. Don Fry, Dan Severn, and somebody, Tank Abbott. All those guys and I were sitting at the table. They were trying to put together a fight with us. But Eric Bischoff looked over and said, hey, you're going to make more money with WCW. So I chose WCW. Where I can go and do this every night and get paid more money. And I think I chose right. But I did look at Dan and Don Fry, who kept eyeballing me, thinking like, maybe I want to try you. And I swear, in front of everybody, Eric Bischoff sitting on my right, Don Fry sitting right in front of me, and Dana White sitting on my left, and we all talking. And I told them right then, I said, listen, I watched it, you know, and they were trying to get WCW to pitch in. They were trying to get something where we can unify, WCW can unify and bring this promotion together, make a creative promotion. And I looked at everybody, and I said, when they asked me, would I do it? I told Eric, I'll do it. He said, okay, let's work on it first. I said, listen, I've seen all these guys fight. And I looked right at Don Fry. I haven't seen anybody who can beat me. And Don Fry kept looking at me. And I don't know if you ever met Don Fry, but he had the biggest mustache I've ever seen. And he was looking at me, and he kept mouthing under his breath, but I could read his lip, and you can hear him a little bit. He kept saying, get in the cage. Get in the cage. That's all he kept saying. I said, I didn't see no one do anything that I couldn't stop. And that's how close it was to coming. But then Eric whispered in my ear, you're going to make more money with us.
Wow.
But Don Fry, I would have kicked that damn mustache off his face.
There you go. There you go. Wow. I had no idea about that. That's very cool.
That's where they wanted me to go. Eric Bischoff had this all put together before before it was UFC. Eric Bischoff was going to unify this whole thing. Wrestling, WCW with the UFC and mixed martial art. Him and a guy from Japan, Ishii. And I think his name was Ishii. He used to own K1 and all that stuff. And it was Rick Rufus with us. I told him, I said, nobody in there could beat me. Nobody. Neither one of y'all chumps.
I mean, Tank Abbott ended up in WCW.
Yeah.
They all ended up in wrestling a little bit. But see, they brains were beat up by that time.
Yeah.
And they figured out we ain't making no money at this.
No, they weren't making anything in those early UFC days. Like those guys didn't get paid nearly enough for what they were going through.
They were getting paid just enough money to pay their doctor bills.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of them losing money.
Huh?
Yeah. So probably a lot of them losing money on the doctor's bills.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because the wind, even with a wind, you can break your knuckle, you can hurt your elbow. It's just so many things can happen in that combat world when you fight. That's why I did a lot of tournament fighting. So why? I did a lot of tournament fighting because you at least, if you win, you don't have to knock yourself out. You ain't got to knock the guy out, but you can convincingly dominate someone in the circle. You know, people say, how you going to do that? You just tap. Say, get out there and see. Stevie Ray just challenged me.
Wait, so Stevie Ray challenged you?
Yeah, Stevie Ray challenged me to a fight. Him and Sonny Ono got a podcast. He just challenged me to a fight. He said it had to be first karate, and then the second would be boxing, and that's when he gonna knock me out.
Wait, so you guys are gonna do are you considering this? Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I love this. Listen, bro, Stevie Ray is a legend. One half of Harlem Heat. He's still in great shape. He's big as I don't know what. He loved boxing. Boxing is his thing. But I know how to fight. I don't know if he ever been in a fight.
If the first round is karate, will there be a boxing fight?
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So what he planned to do is, he said he done took a couple of karate classes before. So what Steve is planning on doing is running around just to get into that second. Then he think he can come up and do boxing.
Well, now he's exposed his game plan, so that's not very smart either.
It's not really smart. He don't know. Sonny Ono is the plant. He's there for me. Sonny Ono get all the information for me. But Stevie Ray been online talking about it and said that's what he wanted to do. So listen, any wrestling guy out there, anybody in wrestling, I don't give a damn who it is. Anybody in wrestling, if you want to kickbox, box, jiu-jitsu, anything you want to do, I'm your man if they want to do it. Try me. I'm a real weapon.
Does that include full MMA? Like you mentioned all of the aspects of MMA individually. Would you do an MMA fight?
Against a wrestler? Hell yeah. Anybody out there? Young or old? Of course I will. And that's that's the challenge. It ain't because I need the money or I want to fight. It's more because I want to shine. I want people to still talk about me again as a fighter. I know they said, well, it's a time come when you need to retire. If I ever get in trouble with something I can't get out of, all I do is I'm gonna bite, kick, take my shoe off, swing. I'm doing everything.
Well, I hope this happens. I would love to see you versus really any professional wrestler. I think it'd be great.
Well, we'll get it done then, my man.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Ernest The Cat Miller, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, brother.
Let everyone know where they can find you at.
Man, of course, on social media, Ernest The Cat Miller. Be on the lookout for the Cat's Corner podcast, social media, YouTube, wherever you go to get the podcast. Be on the lookout for us because I'm going to have some guys on there. I'm not going to let them lie. They're going to have to tell the truth. And I'm asking some tough questions.
I look forward to listening to it again. I'm sure I'll be covering it plenty. And again, send me anything you need to send to make sure it gets out there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Brother. Thanks for having me. You guys
Thanks,
have a
Ernest.
good night. All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Guys, we'll be right back here on the Spotlight. Big thank you to Ernest the Cat Miller for joining us in the Creator Spotlight. Yes, good feedback on this. The greatest interview of all time. I've got 2 weeks worth of articles out of this, and yes, I'm getting some juicy quotes. My favorite was when he was like, "Make sure you write that." He wanted to make sure that CM Punk quote gets out there. Bless Jensen. He knew exactly what he was doing, trying to set that up there. Cat doesn't care. Cat does not care. We appreciate Ernest Cat Miller joining us on the show. Guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in, hanging out with us for the last few hours here. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, everybody. It's our last show before Christmas. Next week, we'll be back, our last show of the year. So we appreciate everyone joining us today. Appreciate all the super chats, all the chat interaction, everybody just being here with us on this Thursday. We'll be back next week. Brand new episode of The Spotlight. Head over to fightfuloverbook.com. Check out interviews that we got posting over there. Check out Crest of Stars interview with Gringo Loco. That's on the main channel, but you can check that out. That's premiering now. Check out Crest's interview with Gringo Loco. And head over to fightfuloverbook.com. All the shows and interviews we have going up on Fightful Overbooked. Head over to Fightful.com. All the news, Fightful Select, all the news before anybody else. Guys, we'll be right here next week with a brand new episode of The Spotlight. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, everyone. Take care.